Hahu Pumluk Ganuat Asyaba with Zuch Lu Zif Uf Nurah Zu Puff Wa Zanaz, or whichever thing Adama Damien calls himself right now. Adam X Files. I like that show.
Thank you. I've had many shows as well.
My brother had the CD. I didn't, I didn't really have, as much access to it as I wanted, because this was what, 20 something years ago, I guess, when that show was going on.
Yeah.
They brought some of it back, but yeah, I like that. I would go around sometimes and mimic the song. But any thoughts that you wanted to start with today?
Well, I don't know. Do you have any specific topic in mind that you would like to us to focus on, or? Well,
since you're with the Joy of Satan now, I don't know exactly which passages, but I guess so. How about we start with a reverse Torah ritual? I guess.
That sounds like a great topic.
So today's selection will be Psalm 23, that shepherd psalm, and I guess we'll figure out later what some of it means backwards. But
okay. Yeah.
Mi kurau huhi tibam yad bashu yach yami luk yanwap duri dastu booth ka he were yaswak Yashar Manshab Tanshad Yurats Dagan Nachlush Yanpul Kurat Yanam Chani Hammah Kat Nasham Kathbash Yadma Hat A Ki Ar Arya Al Tu Mults A Gub Kla Yuk Mug Wamash Namal Dakats Yil Gamab Yan Chani Bab Ushi Yash Pan Yan Lahni Tu Chanam Yam La Yan Si Bri Ashad Tu Anab Ruscha Al Yar Huhi, and this is titled, how do you say that backwards?
Hey, what, sorry?
Ru Mazur. Ru Mazur. Okay.
Okay. Oh, that was a long one.
Well, I picked one of the shorter. I think there's a shorter psalm, but that's one that people would recognize.
You seem very schooled in what you're doing, I must say.
I guess as we go along, I'll look some of this up.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds great. Wow. Oh my God.
But yeah, it's as you may know today. I mean, I'll put this up next week, I guess. But as you may know, this is what they call Easter. So the Shepherd's Psalm is as good of any. And they sort of it doesn't say Lord. The Christians in particular like to mistranslate things.
Yeah, they do that all the time.
But basically, the one term that you may recognize is it's the huhi, and the huhi has that same root, the huah, which is life or existence, but instead of the prefix of it coming into, it's going out of.
Okay. Wow.
So that's what tetragrammaton backwards is.
Yeah, we do that every day. The tetragrammaton backwards, that's the latest RTR, final RTR. And that removes that Jewish filthy god Yahweh from existence. And that's very good.
Well,
because that the Jewish God that has enslaved us Gentiles, the Goyim, for many, many years, as we all know. And yeah, do you have anything to add on that, or?
Well, you see, you may see that I am uploading right now a program on the Mongols, and the Mongols are the Gog and well, basically the Gog and the Magog of the Bible. The Mongols are some of the most famous of the Gog and Magog, and they came out of the steppes of. They fulfilled that prophecy pretty strongly. They came out of the steppes of ages, killing them left and right, and destroying whole cultures. Taoism didn't exist. Taoism is practically non-existent compared to what it used to be.
Yeah, that is very.
Islam used to be majority Shia, and then it became and the Mongols went through and changed the face of that. They left most of the 12ers, so the 12ers, but the there was some never recovering from the Mongols in a bunch of respects, but.
Yep. I mean, the Jewish influence, as we have said, it has influenced the very old, the very destructions of the natural cultures, the Native Americans and the Mayans and the Incas and all through. It's always been the same evil force, you could say, which we can call the Jewish influence. And this has...
well, you see, when the Jews started from now when I do my Zoroastrian list, I am not approving of certain stuff that their priests did. What did their priests do? When a king wanted to marry his own daughter, they wrote it in later, so you couldn't criticize the one's father when the guy died. But they wrote it into their book that you could do that. They wrote in, persecution of other groups when it wasn't really part of the Persian tradition in the first place, but it became part of the Persian tradition. And the same thing with, what I don't remember where it says it, but one of the enemies in this book here, it says, you don't trust Ha Kahanim with the book, but who wrote the final cut of the Tanakh? The rabbis, the rabbis, the Cohens, whatever you want to call them.
I was just going to say that,
But and you see certain slander. This book I'm sharing about the Mongols, I am not saying that somebody's a barbarian or some pagan or something like this just because of their race or their tribe or something like this. The Greeks and the Romans, they pagan and heathen had nothing to do with what religion you were. It's what type of home you have. The house here is in such bad condition that it's I think we can call ourselves pagan because of the condition of the house. A bunch of patches and tarps and stuff from the sky. But that's what they used to, it's definitely not the house it was 100 years ago or 50 years ago, 20 years
certainly
ago.
No.
And
we have the so-called micro and the macro. And the macro home, just because the micro home is, remove the family unit and destroy the micro home, and you have soon the macro home destroyed as well, with chemtrails, all kinds of shit, So
well, we look at you know, a couple of the organizations, somebody we discussed before recording, whose name shall remain nameless, I guess. But this guy, he founded two groups in my country. One group killed, you know, they say that these lives matter, but this one group killed more black people than the entire Ku Klux Klan between 1888 and the current time. They did more property damage, but somehow they're fighting injustice. But the media's paid off by a few families in particular that don't want this put forward, and they push forward this culture that turns whole races into, I mean, it's not the whole race. It's like, for example, if in my country, if you're an immigrant and you're black, you have a lower crime rate. You earn more than the average person. It's not like it's a racial thing, but but a lot of the people that were born and raised here are programmed with this culture, and white people included. They're programmed with these ideas that if you don't have your movie style life, or you don't, or you're not like one of those Rich and Famous shows or something. It's like you're not getting what you deserve, and you shouldn't be happy, and and you're practically worthless unless you're some sort of an entertainer or some sports star. And half the entertainers, some of the best musicians that I've ever heard of or encountered, you know, were actually you know, some of the best musicians I've ever encountered weren't famous, but it's like what happens to a lot of the celebrities when they get some scruples, their career goes down. Yes, women when they can't hide their wrinkles anymore, they kind of want to get rid of them in terms of their fame in this country. But it's more than that. You find these people, it's like, you know, people like animal rights, or they think that there's more to life than this filling your head with the TV stuff, or you know. I mean, it literally sinks people's career, and that's why we can't. I mean, there's more than enough with certain principles. There's more than enough resources to take care of all the people in the world in terms of health. That one person I said, what is he? You know, the real ISIS, and you know their group and their group, they the
real ISIS. Oh yes.
They you know, they say, oh, instead of ending world hunger, give them 50 times the money yearly. So world hunger is so much cheaper than this military power that is basically keeping all its you know, but okay, so I said, you know, I said I'd share some of this as we go on. So the so the water comes out of the divine bowl, in which the existence is going out. And well, that's what I have so far. This I'm not sure how much of this I'm gonna.
And when you say water, you are talking about the life force, the water, the chakra force, right? Or the Kundalini force, which we pagans know it as, perhaps.
Well, that's one of the that's one of the things that comes off a bit different, is that most faiths they embrace the light and the dark and all that sort of stuff.
Taoism, for example,
like for example, untold numbers of time, and I did a video at this place once, but you know, sort of my last time there, I think.
Okay.
But this place is basically the place where you prostrate to the God of light, and one of the formulas that I use, like which, for example, is why groups like the Temple of Blood looks up to the Hare Krishna movement, because Krishna, aside from God of light, it means like blue black, and it definitely engages in things like the war aspect. It's not just some happy-go-lucky sort of idea of looking at
the Krishna movement, right?
That's now, definitely. I'm not saying that I'm going to wander around in red all the time and
wear some rainbow colors and wander.
Well, I wear different colors, but I you know, the rainbow has kind of been ruined for a lot of uses. So
yeah, it sure has a lot of uses beyond the mainstream one, you could say. Yeah. So yeah, do you have anything? Were you finished with the topic of the waters and the reverse thing?
No, I'm going. It's rendering the reverse Torah ritual into English is not the easiest of things.
No. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you get.
Yeah, and the next two words are the abhorrence and longing of warlords.
The abhorrence and warlords. Oh, scary stuff.
And to take in the separation.
Yep.
But I'll just, you know, I'm just going on as I have. It's going to take a bit.
Yep.
And Yum is terror, so we're over into the terror going out to guide. Well, message more like it, but yeah, it's this is just something that's going to take me a while as I go along. So I guess one thing, like as you know, I also study Aleister Crowley. Not that I think that his dual Crowley tried to mix too many religions together, and that's part of the problem with the New Age, is that they try to treat like so many things are like somehow equally the same or something.
Yeah, the Borg. We are the Borg.
like you know, so this stone is kind of cubical. So, but one of the things that they have that's been put upon this stone, which as I mean, you probably didn't see my video, but I said basically the shungite. So I made a video about the shungite, and this shungite is shaped kind of like a, you know, it's sort of, you know, it's sort of like a black cube. And I was thinking, I was gonna see if this rabbi was up for the joke, but he wasn't up to you know, up to a lot of things apparently. Very
vicious, right?
You know, a bunch of questions. Basically, really hates the Christian. These people don't like the Christians so much that they want to ask you a billion questions. It's like, no, I don't think Jesus is God. I think that they don't even know what the word Messiah means.
Oh, who Jesus is?
What?
They know. They sure know. They don't want you to know that they know. You know what I mean?
Well, but I mean they don't. They don't believe it literally.
Oh, you mean they don't? Are you sure about that?
If they believed that Jesus was the Messiah, they wouldn't call him God. They wouldn't call him the Son of God. They wouldn't take that part literally.
You think so?
It's what the term means. It's what the term means. The Messiah, Christ, Lucifer. It's all secondary. That they're all terms meaning that something is second. And I guess when we get that first verse here, oh well, I guess we don't have the whole first verse rendered here. but thus far in this verse 6 of Psalm 23 backwards, it kind of does have sort of opposite moving. Instead of this goodness and steadfastness and love shall pursue me, it's really about separating yourselves and not being so moved by the terror of it all.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's like one group that I studied. Now the conversation's not going as smoothly, but I guess people would probably expect it with this. Like with this one group that I studied, that you see the meme on the screen.
Very interesting.
For the astral plane, they call it. They use the term Jot Naranjan or Kal Naranjan, and Naranjan. The colors are messed up. For some reason, Zoom does not give me the rich colors that this graphic is supposed to have. But this graph, it's
sure looks interesting.
Here. What?
It sure looks very interesting, I must say.
Basically, it's a comparative religion. But so without fear, they treat the God without fear like it's the devil, and you really think that an entity that's fearless and blameless is not the side that you want to get with? I mean, that
interesting. Yeah.
Shaking the circle. Okay.
Please, if you will, explain these different terms. I guess many people wonder what all these things mean over here. The Sugmad. What is the Sugmad?
Well, they basically I guess they're monotheistic in the way that the Christians are monotheistic, is that they want to be under the banner of monotheism, but they're not really. And that's I guess you can say the Jewish legacy is that whether you're monotheist or not, you're going to pretend to be. And so the Jews that worship angels and all this other stuff, because it's not all monotheism that's under the title of Judaism. As soon as you had the Zoroastrian priest, as soon as the Israelites were exposed to the Zoroastrian priest long enough, they came. Basically, they decided, okay, we're going to nominally have this prophetic religion, but it's not really the prophet's religion. It's our priests and our scholars are in charge of what the text is going to be and what the way is going to be, and basically anything about our country. And that's what other? Can you think of any other claim of a religion in this world that is so ethnic to the point where you can be completely secular and somehow you're, of that group? So secular Judaism is sort of an odd phenomenon. Others have liberals, but people who don't even really believe in God are,
exactly.
Wow. And I'm sort of not familiar with the context here, but on that on what they call the third heaven here, it's coming off the bottom of the chart, but the third heaven is listed as blue, and so the blue light is in particular this group here. They really like the the blue light is central to what they believe. If you can do your rituals till you see a blue light,
wow. Then you're probably getting somewhere. Somewhere significant, I must say.
So you mentioned what's the context of the blue light for you in this?
Well, as I said, to me it is not only my favorite color, as you can see by the Kutulu image over there, the Axaru, but it is also it's a very royal color, if you know what I mean, like a Nagagal would say, perhaps. And it is also representing our God, the Gentile God, which is, of course, Melek Taos. He has 3 colors which are sacred to him, which is it is the same colors actually that the Joy of Satan is built on, and that is the colors red, blue, and black. So there you go.
And
Okay.
we're about to start 6,771 since the since they say the peacock incarnation of Melek Taos, or as the Zoroastrians knew him as, I mean, ours he's known in the Vestin, Gnog Benog. And if you've seen that graphic there before, it's you have the basic 9 things. So the 9 entities. Melek Taos is referred to as in that mythology as the agent. Shaitan, because of cast out of a place, and cast out of a place for what? So pretending like it's not, they're not really devil worshippers, and that's just no, they are. They're just not, you know, they're just not movie.
Yeah.
You know, it's just not like the movie. Satanists are very rarely off doing human sacrifices and torturing animals or whatever.
Jewish propaganda.
There is the idea that a person is you know, as Nergargle would say in video after video, Satanism is a variety of beliefs and practices. And so they had that. So, but one of the things that would happen is that the people who are ready, there are one of the confusions about what they call the Yazidi is that there is priestly groups and priestly traditions, and people are like, oh, this is traditional right-hand path or whatever. And well, yeah, of course it's right-hand path because it's connecting to an entity. It's theistic Satanism. But the you know, the entities could give a person their specific guidance. Like now, I know you've taken issue with Michael W. Ford, and I'm not saying I agree with everything the guy has said, but we see you know, here on the chart we see the you know, he talks about ahramatic yoga tantra. It really doesn't matter whether you're right hand path or left hand path. It turns out to be almost the same thing. People need to stop acting like, oh, if it's black and if it's the left hand path, and that's not good and evil's not according to that. That's just that's a marketing technique. But the you know, you can refer to the different things. You can refer to the different. You can refer to Ahraman or Engermenu, Davanam Davo, same thing, or and that would evoke something out of yourself. And same thing if you Nog or Melek Taos, you know, Akamana, Indar, Non Hathia, Zarva, Tarvi, Zari, Asham. I mean, people say, well, why don't you? I like to go back, and I like to speak the older version of the term. Like we were talking Palestine. Palestine, first it was a slur of the Romans to insult the Jewish inhabitants of the land that they conquered. It's like what? Their mythical enemy was these Palestinians, which didn't really exist, and the Romans decided, we're going to call your land, the land that you're in, Palestine. And the Romans did it as a psychological one-up on them, and the
what?
And the British and the British and stuff in between World War I and World War II started calling these people Palestinian to create an enemy and to slander the other people, so they could, because obviously by the 1880s Initially, there was pretty much no no direct Jewish involvement in the Zionist movement.
Yeah.
They thought they were going to be the superior character and stuff like this, and they really wanted to fix themselves to be the sort of culture that would be worthy or something before they became the thing. And but the Christians wanted to get the Jews out of their countries. They wanted the Jews out of their countries, and they figured, let's move them to an area that's kept them safe and turn those people into their enemies. And so that's one of the things that, but look at what's happening in return. It's like there were certain people at that time that were definitely not Christian that were involved in this. And what did they convinced it? Trillions of dollars a year welfare to some country that doesn't need that to survive, but to survive and to do what it does. And like, it's like Crowley hints at the whole black cube thing, and in one of his things, and it's gotten turned into this thing like. It's like some of the Sufi mystics. They don't. They treat it like. They treat it more like the thing. Like you've seen the Jews with the boxes tied to their foreheads and stuff like that.
That's how they channel. That's how they channel the Jewish thought form into this world. It's through the cube, the tefillin, right?
But I think it's sort of again, not using it as hate speech, but more literal. They take the temple and stuff as its as its thing. Like you have millions of people visiting that mount that hill in Jerusalem, and people have turned it. They don't want that anymore, so they stand over guards over part of it, willing to kill people because they might walk on the Holy of Holies. It's like, are you kidding me? Just have the place open for everybody like it was. And I think during the time of Solomon and some of these people, they might have not had it closed off to only the elite. But that's the thing. There were people during the time of Solomon inventing all this magic that people refer to, or at least saying, "Oh, it's like no, Solomon's cool with that." It's like, and I've shown in different videos, and I'll continue to show. This Solomonic magic doesn't date that far back. It's the early Christian period, rabbinic Judaism. This is where it comes from. It doesn't come from any of these. It doesn't come from Solomon or Moses, and the language and other cultural elements prove it.
Interesting.
It's a later thing. But
okay. That's very interesting. You seem very, very schooled in the details of Jewish history, I must say. That's and how they formed different conspiracies during the time. So that is a very interesting.
And I also see with the there's a reason why you have there's a reason why you have different so many people listed as Jews is because where the Christians went, you got people to say, oh, we don't believe this Jesus stuff, we're going to do something different here. So
okay, I mean they all believe in Jesus, that's for sure. Well, there are some Jews that say that they don't believe in Jesus, but I mean really it's their Messiah. And they're waiting for the Messiah to come and bring in rebuild the third temple and, rule the Gentiles from there, So, I mean, I think Jews in their subconscious mind are really aware of the plan and what's going on, but, they have to appear that like they are separated from each other to fool the Gentiles, so to speak, that we are not organized as you.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I have to keep, particularly when you're dealing with a Christian author. One has to one has to change some of that stuff, because calling somebody, acting like somebody's an infidel just because they're of a different religion is no. You can say they maybe say through misbelief or misassociate or something, and because that's what you believe, but acting like they're completely unfaithful just because they're not the same faith as you, that's and okay. So the rest of verse 6 backwards there would be the message of the message of the myrtle tree. It's the slaughtering.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
Of the the caw. Oh, that's even more interesting. The it's the slaughtering to have control or something.
Okay.
Yeah, it's. I'd have to figure. This is gonna take some time, but at least we got one verse. Sometimes stuff pretty much is the same backwards and forwards. Sometimes it's not.
I have a question about that actually, and maybe you can answer. One of the letters in the reverse Torah ritual that we're doing, I've been asking the priesthood there, and they gave me a pretty good answer to that. And you see, there are some in the Joy of Satan that says, very strange that some letters are read backwards. Like mem, for example, I mean, it reads both ways the same. Mem is mem backwards or forwards. But what they don't realize is they explained it. The high priest actually explained this very well in one of the sermons they held. Is that, the reason that some letters are saying backwards and forwards, it's not really that which matters. What matters is that you are reading the entire alphabet backwards. Because otherwise, when the Jews are reading their texts, their letters, I mean, they're both creating them and undoing them at the same time. That's not possible. So, there's a contradiction even there to begin with. So that's not an issue, actually. Or what do you think about it?
Well, as we see the few places where we have huhi doesn't, we're still left with a different sort of message completely.
Really?
In terms of just what we've gone over, we're talking about a change, and the water element going out here. We can see the like I said about the whole Palestinian thing. The word it was meant as a slur, but there were certainly people among them. Like, for example, why the Jews were. There's 4 opinions, without going too much into it. Basically, Jews wear. They're not supposed to wear, and Christians too. The Bible says that Jesus saying, don't change any of this. I came to restore the law. So anything that doesn't contradict anything else, the Christians are really supposed to do too. There's nothing about making their thing into Sunday. There's nothing about,
Yeah, exactly.
But but they're not. They wear that blue. So there's two types of things that they make that thread on their garments with, and it's basically one's purple, one's it either comes out purple or blue, and
interesting.
So it comes out purple and blue, and I mean purple or blue, and it was something that cost about 8 times as much as its weight in gold to make.
Wow.
But among the Yazidi, one of the common things is that Shaitan, cast out of a place, appeared in peacock form 6,071 years ago. Later this April, Red Wednesday is pretty close upon us. And they, the Christians changed the thing. They said, instead of putting the flowers on the door, they put ashes on their forehead.
Okay.
40 days before and that sort of thing. But before Easter, they put that stuff on their forehead. But so the idea was that they were saying they were saying that they are not Satanist because they wear blue, and blue and purple and even black were colors that were they put it on the altars, but these were colors reserved. These were reserved for these were colors reserved for the devils. And
exactly. I'm with you. That's why in the Bible they say that the Antichrist will wear purple. In the book of Revelation, I think it is. And there are many Christians on YouTube that speak about the Antichrist. There's actually a very interesting book written by the Jews. It's the first book of Adam and the second book of Adam and Eve, which give more details to the Eden story. But in that story, Adam and Eve are actually being deceived by angels in dressed as beings of light. And they're all, guess what they're wearing? They're all wearing purple.
Well,
that color of the Antichrist.
I don't know. I don't think you saw it once. It was one of my ending Ramadan days, because Ramadan has this comes with this myth that people who aren't Muslim have even experienced it, that after Ramadan something happens, something comes back.
Okay.
And so basically that zazas nasatanada zazas chant, I usually include something like that with that.
Makes sense. Yeah.
But the my one poem was basically something that I came up with walking home one evening, and evening is a very particular time. The evening is also that time of day. So heading out in the evening is supposed to be when the devils come out to set up their night camps. Is during the twilight. What?
There comes the duality again, or the idea that everything that is black is evil, everything that is white. Judging by appearances. That's very Jewish. Judging by appearances.
Oh well, yeah. Well, it's the idea that everything. No, it's not a positive and negative, and that's how as in our other discussion, personified by that meme here, is how some of these New Agers trick people. It's all about positive thinking and all this stuff, and she's in the Force of Miracle. What?
That's negative. You think that's negative. Don't think that. But maybe that's, if your car is broken, you have to be negative to find a problem in the car. Try driving the car with a positive attitude. You have to, identify the problem first, and,
Yeah,
that's
if a person's going to use the terms good and evil and truth and ignorance,
better word, functional.
Yeah, or however one terms it, these things are not, it's not whether it benefits you per se or harms you or anybody else, or whether it's positive.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's it's like as you know I'm presenting. I'm doing this series right now, and one of its last chapters, it's supposed to summarize the whole thing, and it includes the line, it basically points out that darkness isn't evil, but there can be evil in darkness. There's not, it's not that the spreading light, there's an implication, it's not that spreading light is all good or something. It's that it can be used for that. And that's one of the things.
Perfect. Yeah.
But yeah, this thing where it's like hating your emotions and stuff. It's like
that's very Jewish.
Some very 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 angry emotions associated with this with this sort of thing.
Yeah.
But you know, this, the meme I have up that I've used in some of my videos. But at sometimes anger, darkness, and it's like, if you're sad, you're sad. So what? You're sad. And being separate. It's not all about being, being together with other people and their way, and that sort of stuff. Like, I would very much rather be alone. Now, I'm not saying that I didn't love certain people, and I still don't, but what I was supposed to basically at least die over 20 years from HIV or something, from living with some needle drug user, because people get it. There's worse things in life per se, but it's like, I shouldn't have to die from it too,
No.
And certainly I shouldn't have to put up with other behaviors of this person, What I'd have to pay her part of her court fines every time she steals from someone. No way. And she's one of those individuals that would have that they could find out all she's done and give her life in prison already, years ago. I bet 10 years ago they could have figured out enough, but they often don't do those things.
Okay, yeah.
But one thing that I thought was interesting is I came up with I came up with this meme here.
Okay, let's see what the meme is.
Well, it's basically a name and a script that predates Judaism.
What? That's cool.
Of the same region where Judaism appeared, but so I joined into this one of the graveyards that I was at. I phoned up the local synagogue to get into the place because they had the weakest security system ever, and it's like, it wasn't like I couldn't hop a fence that's 4 feet off the ground that's rickety and spot. They fixed the fence since I did those videos, by the way. But which happens my next Saturday video, before this one goes up here. I actually break Jewish law in the middle of the Jewish cemetery. I don't break American law, but I break Jewish law, definitely. It's subtle. It's not really an act of disrespect what I did. It's just, I just don't agree with being afraid to say some name in a book and replacing it with something else,
That's the difference. They don't know the difference between being disrespectful and not agreeing. Everybody must agree with our laws,
Well, one of the things that as I've pointed out before, one of the things that's been problematic that's happened with the Muslims is so many of them have ended up falling for basically whatever the Christian, they have their own book, they have their own teachings that are clearer than what they have, a more comprehensive, but they're turning to the Christians and the Jews and the TV and stuff like this to get their ethics and what to do about stuff. So it's like 20 years ago, less than 20 years, there was a South Park, South Park.
Yeah.
There was a South Park episode with a Muhammad cartoon. It didn't make anybody upset until like the year after, or a couple years after, or something like that. They started putting on the TV, implying that you had to kill people for blasphemy, and most Muslims don't believe that because the Quran doesn't teach it. They say, basically, in nicer words than that. If people are saying, if people are speaking disrespectful of what you worship and what and your religion and stuff, separate yourself from these fools, But the Bible talks about killing people for blasphemy. New and Old Testament, they talk about killing people not only for blasphemy, but as the New Testament says, those who do not make me Lord, bring them here and kill them.
Lay them before me. Oh yeah.
And
right.
So In America, as soon as they had those preachers on the TV, as soon as they had those preachers, now this is not the preacher. This is somebody I interviewed otherwise. As soon as they had those preachers on the TV, they were talking about if we were a Christian country, we'd kill these people. And
okay.
in my country, we have a president. We have a president that's hailed for being religious, which I think is utterly this guy threatened to sodomize people with his rosary beads. The Catholic Church basically condemned him in their Easter sermon, and he's banned from consuming the bread and wine at the church. This guy on the screen here is banned from taking the bread and wine in his church, and you're supposed to look at him as religious?
Oh, what the fuck? What? I didn't know that actually. That's
and this stuff. All this stuff on the screen is stuff the guy really said.
I'm reading what's on the screen right now. Let's see. Fat, a liar, too old to vote for me. Oh, wow.
And when he slips up saying the N-word, referring to people as the N-word just because they're black, they remove the clip from the television stations online stuff because they don't want it reminded that he supported the Ku Klux Klan, and now he supports a group that kills black people even more than the Ku Klux Klan. So
I know this
like he's not like the guy is not racist. That doesn't make
okay.
which is why for most of my life. Most of my life, I've been putting, whatever the year is, I'm putting this forward. Cthulhu, no more years. Whatever election it is, because they've really brought it to the point that just bring an end to it already.
Yeah. Oh, what's this picture then?
Well, my seasonal, as you've seen, I acquired some connections with this organization, and
cool. Oh,
some anyway. But this is my first major ritual that I published that I came up with related to this group. And well, actually, I've related other stuff to it, but this one in particular is one that was more content oriented than that. But now, see, it's alter. It's 88 and 14 is stuff are important numbers, and one doesn't have to be racist to use these things. Thank you very much. But basically, one's using the energy, like some people in their comments. I don't know if people are being real half the time with the internet, or because there are people that stupid.
Yeah.
Like I used to get messages all the time on Facebook, which is probably why Facebook removed me. It's like, I'm not promoting this garbage. If people are messaging me, ask me if they should kill their family. It's like, you don't have to kill your family for Satan. Knock it off. Because they watch some horror movie and they think to not be Christian, they gotta do something.
Okay.
And so I had a lot more following on Facebook at what point. Well, I ran other people's groups, and but basically you can use the energy on the screen, in the bottom of the screen that keeps on getting covered up is the picture of a couple serial killers, and basically it was my first where it is a first. It's my first ritual regarding serial killers. And so there's this cult use of the energy connected to those murders, basically. Just like this person on the screen looks up to Charles Manson, the same person who encouraged James Mason to start the James Mason and the Universal Order that was federally banned. His organization was banned, and then Adam Waffen was his new group. And so, but Charlie Manson, are you kidding me? So this new age cult leader looks up to Charlie Manson, and you wonder, when she gets a commune, are they going to commit mass suicide? What's because she's still suicidal. She spent a decade, and I get a kick out of this.
You do?
This thing I put on the screen that you saw with this thing.
Yeah.
I had never known there was an episode of Mr. Rogers where he flipped people off.
Who's Mr. Rogers, if I may ask again?
He's the guy in black and white on the screen. He's dead now.
He looks cool in a way.
Instead of being a TV preacher, he was like, I'll just do a kids show. And so he did a kids show, but he didn't do a kids show. The world is flat and except Jesus. It's like, today, what is that? It's like who do the Christians think that Jesus reclaimed that the whole Easter thing is talking about reclaiming power from? If making a sacrifice to Satan, it's like I refuse to forgive anybody until I kill my own, until I have my own son sacrificed to Satan, and then Satan will let me be in control of you guys again. It's like then Satan never lost control, because that's not how you making sacrifices to entities is blood sacrifices to entities is not how you lose how they lose control over you. So, but the Mr. Rogers episode where here is tall man, and he flips the bird, and it's like most people didn't know the gesture, but when he enacted that script, he's like you could tell on his face he knows what he's doing.
No, sir.
He knows what he's doing.
Yes. Looks like that kind of person who knows what he's, but he doesn't allow others to know. A trickster guy of some sort. Scary.
It's the
you do.
It's right now we have the other session of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints biannual conference, which means there's certain people that I can't phone until it's over.
Shit.
Because I forgot it was yesterday. I tried to phone some people. Someone.
We're talking about codes in this video, aren't we? And here we are decoding codes, cult codes. But
the cube was used around the world, not as per se a binding age. I guess because the New Agers think that this shungite, as I call it, they think, it's going to absorb all the EMFs. No pattern on a necklace, no stone is going to do anything except it's very spot. If you want a spot the size of an inch around, blocked from EMF rays, put on one of these. But it's not going to protect your whole body or the room or some garbage like that. You put some resin pyramid, you throw some rocks and some coil into some resin, and it's going to do stuff for you.
You do a lot of crystal rituals, as I know, right? Like most of your ritual involves some type of crystals, I've noticed.
You saw the one I did based on some of
the bloodstone, right?
Okay. I thought for a second there I thought you were referring to something I did regarding no, that's not it. Okay, well, Nergargle Schlod. Some of his videos involve crystals in a thing. And so I got his I contacted him privately after his YouTube was down and asked him for some stuff. Like if I will totally plug this book. Like I said, when it comes to stuff, this three books on Satanism that I definitely would say any of them a person can really do their thing, get what they need in that area. I mean, you get more by having a variety, but Postmodern Satanism by Jason King. Nergargle recommended that book too, but I think I found his book not through his channel, not through Nergargle's channel. Daster Adam Daniels, Ashma.
Okay, yeah.
And the Epistles of Lord Satan, an expression of theistic Satanism by Nergargle Shaw. This is
okay, yeah.
The printing of each of these books. It's not one of these crazy New Age books where you know how these prices with some of these New Age books, like if it was Become a Living God or E.H. Wedding stuff, that stuff would cost those. They would be that would probably cost me $500 to have that pile of books there.
Jews, they want money only. You know, that's what they do. What they do.
Like I understand with Michael W. Ford the idea that it's like what okay. He puts forward this very Luciferianism like it literally is Satanism, and then he does stuff where he worships Archangel Michael and stuff like that. And he says and he worships under Gnostic names of God that which so
I mean, he's a very interesting character, I must say.
I mean, I pay attention to his stuff, but I do, you know, it is slightly, he does put forward some contradictions.
Yeah, he certainly does. I've noticed a couple of those, actually, within his work. A lot of contradictions, and you know, that's how Jews work. You know, they contradict you until you get confused, and they got you. You know.
I'll just put this up. We don't need to spend too much time with this, but you know, this one even admits there's stuff they don't know what means. There's variations. Like 2,000 years ago, they decided the number of rows and columns and all that stuff. But it gets much worse when you get to the when you get to what they call what's called the New Testament. It's like they were changing that thing like every generation, it seemed.
Really? Yeah, I mean, of course.
And
they have to often to get us confused. You know, Jesus. The interesting part about Jesus is he adapts to every time and every culture. There's a black Jesus, there's a white Jesus, there's a seasonal Jesus that changes through seasonal. You know, he adapts to so that he will never be, you know, truly exposed.
Well, it's an egregor. It's not even a real person, as I pointed out. It's like most of the videos where I talk about it, I'm saying it's 4 people. But then I say you throw in Paul, and it's really a host of people, and they knew it. They waited till Apollonius Christ was dead. Apollonius Christ was dead, and 20 years later, the other Gospels were written. So the Gospel of John was written in the 90s. So was the Book of Revelation. Both of those were rewrites from earlier.
Oh, interesting.
There's Barabbas. Barabbas wrote the Book of Revelations a little bit different at the start of the century.
Who is Barabbas?
There was this rebel that was closer to what the Jews might expect for a Messiah figure, that rebelled against that rebelled unsuccessfully, and he said, "I'm going to get killed with my 2 buddies," basically.
What?
And so the Book of Revelations, where it talks about being killed, being killed with the 2 witnesses, that is what happened to Barabbas.
Wow.
He knew what was going to happen when he stormed that temple, and it wasn't really all that prophetic to say beforehand that, you know.
What? That's interesting.
You know, there's economic hardship and all this stuff. So they rewrote that book into a Christian book, and they rewrote a text about Bacchus into the Gospel of John was originally 19 chapters, and it was about it's like 99%. Text as a book about Bacchus from 4 centuries earlier, and it's carbon dated to be 4 centuries earlier. And you look at it, basically what they did is they copied the text and wrote Jesus, Jesus instead of Bacchus.
Really?
Instead of Bacchus, you have Jesus.
Oh, Bacchus, yeah, Bacchus. That's actually another word for our gods, actually. Now that you mentioned that one, and not only with that one, but Jesus, Zeus incorporated into the name.
Well,
So they've stolen these gods are stolen. That's why we go back to the monotheism. Yeah. Hello?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, no, I hear you. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that happened was that yeah, there was a lot of twists. Like, for example, Tiamat. You're familiar with Tiamat. So Tiamat, Hamtum, was known as Tun, in the singular Tun. Lawiatan as instead of Leviathan. You gotta kick off all those V's. The V in all the Hebrew stuff, that's the rabbis brought that in. It's really a W. The ancients used the ancients in that area used the W. And they used an alphabet that was up to 30 different letters, and a glottal stop mark, I guess, could be included too. Just like Arabic has 30 sounds and a glottal stop. So the people to the north, the Semites to the north, used this alphabet. Yeah. And you could look at the alphabet and you could put it together, and a lot of that was lost. That language was to a degree corrupted by the Hebrew, and corrupted a lot to the point where they can't. The Jews, when they are fluent in Hebrew, will have trouble reading their Torah, because some of the words have completely different meanings than they do. So they didn't keep a lot of the semantics and stuff. Okay. They had influence from Arabic. Interesting. Some other languages, and then they have stuff that's even completely fake, like the Sefer HaZohar. Okay. That was written post Sufis, so it uses structures, it uses patterns that you find from the Quran, and on top of that, it uses artificial Aramaic. So it doesn't even really use the real Aramea, like somebody who spoke it, because it wants to claim that it's an older book. Oh, that's their tactic, eh? The Christians try to act like the Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John were really people who knew Jesus, and they weren't. So they pretend in that respect. There was a church leader named Matthew in the 2nd century, and he probably wrote that book. And you can see in the Bible, the Christians in their book make clear that their stuff, most of the New Testament is, it says, oh, I heard it from this guy who heard it from this guy. So, well, then it's obviously 3rd generation, so it's 2nd century work. Exactly. So in all their editing of the Bible, with tens of thousands of over 10,000 variants in the Greek version of what's called the New Testament, and they're not linguistic stuff. Like in the like I'm familiar with it done in the Quran. You don't find as many variations as a single chapter in Genesis in the entirety of the Quran, but you find Seen and Sod and Meme and Noon and stuff like that placed in the middle there. But it doesn't really mean anything different. But in the New Testament, you find stuff that means on every page practically you're going to find stuff that means something completely different. Completely different. And people are like, the people, this bothers me, the people who know least about the Bible are the Christians themselves. I mean, they only, not only not only about semantics and stuff, but just let's throw out the whole Old Testament and let's just focus on the love of Jesus. The love of Jesus died on the cross, and that's all you need to think about. I usually go to the church, here in town to get some food. I'm still partly homeless, but sometimes I have these discussions with them. I'm trying to tell them that, the real perspective, and they say just focus on John 3:16.
basically. So
Oh, and that's one of the things it's like I said about that one book. I don't know if the video is public or not, but I posted about this one book, and this woman's like, oh, why can't they just be so unhateful? Unhateful like the Christians. It's like, are you kidding me?
Oh shit.
The Bible only has 11 of those verses, and John 3:16 is kind of messed up if you think about it.
Yeah.
11 New Testament, 4 Old Testament, and the Quran has 56, and then it has a lot of teachings about loving this world, not hating this world, loving this world, and stuff like this.
Yeah.
And it doesn't say go around hate your neighbor for my sake, hate your own mother. And the Bible, the Bible says this stuff.
Oh yeah.
It recommends honor killing and all that other stuff, and so it's not. It's half the time they're blaming other faiths for what they themselves do, but they can't really find it in their thing and say, oh, don't worry, all faiths are alike. So
Whew. I mean, these people. I mean, it's ironic that that the people who claim to love Jesus and preach about Jesus are actually the people who know least about Jesus, because they don't even seem interested in their own religion enough to read the fucking Bible.
Well, what aside from those, when I was younger, I had a list, and I'm not sure how much of the list I knew. It's like I still sort of remember a lot of it, so I may have had it memorized or something. There were 52 verses.
Wow.
There are 52 parts of what they call the New Testament. That if you believe in any one of them in a more literal sense, you will not be Christian. And two of these are what happened when Jesus was literally treated like a god. It only happened twice. What happened? You know what happened?
No, tell me.
So the one time that happened was he basically dropped everything and exorcised the guy and had his spirits go bother a bunch of pigs instead of him. It was a pretty cool story. Just imagine a host of pigs drowning themselves. That's pretty hardcore. Somebody needs to do a metal video of that if they haven't. But
what was this, pigs, or what do you mean by that? Or
in the story, Jesus exorcises the guy who thinks he's the son of God.
Put them in the pigs.
And sends off the things into pigs. In the other story, some woman's all good Lord, and he's all like, hey, there's only one good Lord, and that's God. So Jesus is deferring to someone else. It's like, I'm not that good. Don't call me good Lord. And
exactly.
He wanted something other than himself to be worshipped, and that's one of the things about the whole thing. Is like, whenever he did a miracle or something, he kind of even wanted people to ignore his name, because it's like, I'm working the power. It's not that you people turn around and worship me. That's not the point.
They say read only the New Testament, but not only that, they say read only John 3:16. Not only that, but also ignore everything Jesus said.
Look at it's like there's a reason why they call it Pauline Christianity. It's because Paul basically everything's a shadow. So Paul, as you know, was a Jew until he got hit on the head and became sort of a
he was a Jew.
I don't mean that too meanly, but that's sort of the case. When you get hit on the head and go blind for a few days, and then you come up with ideas and everything's what?
They even missed that part. Like, he was actually blinded, Paul, on the road, and he saw another light. Isn't that, maybe that was and the Bible even says, Satan can appear as an angel of light or whatever. I mean, did he see Satan? And there are even many Christians who say that Paul was a false apostle, and it's
look at what happened is that actually you can think of it. I think of it in terms of, okay, this guy was a great persecutor, right?
Yeah.
And so as a great persecutor, one of the things that can happen there is that he's like,
I got
is that somebody turns around and says,
Yeah.
You know, when you see that, so it's like I would do it. I might. Well, I mean, I don't think I would do it, but
Yeah.
at some point in my life, I would have done it. Is somebody trying to hurt me, got hurt
Yeah.
themselves, and
I
I
mean,
see that I see them laying there with the broken leg.
I mean, that's
I would turn around. There were definitely times in my life where I would have turned around and mocked them. Why you
wow.
persecuting me, bitch? You know.
Like, I mean, think about it. I mean, the most suspicious thing in the world, it was the guy who's supposed to deceive you actually persecuted you in the first place. I mean, can't you see those two suspicious messages about Paul even?
And yeah,
I mean,
you can. It's like, and oh, and admitting. I did a program on St. Paul and Christian lying because,
yeah.
you know, these preachers talk about takia. You know what takia means in Arabic?
No, what's takia?
It means having regard of the situation. It's not that you go around lying to people just because they're not one of you. You have the regard of the situation. That's it. That is it. It's not some print. And honestly, criticizing the people because they're going to be silent. They're going to be deceitful to save their lives or save their property from these people who are persecuting them, which are usually Christian.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and who's levying the criticism? It's the preachers are saying, oh, the Muslims should never should be willing to die before. It's like, no. Sometimes you it's like I try to live very honestly, but it's like if I needed to lie to save my life or to save my family member's life, and not because like they killed someone and I was helping them get away with it. No, I'm not going to do that. Not going to do that. You know.
Yeah. Wow.
But if it was a persecution thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I fully think that I would do
too. Me too. I mean, yeah, that's another warning sign there. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, they overlook all these details. You know, they can't. And Jesus himself said, you know, beware of the wolves in sheep's clothing. Hello, you know, and they're not following Jesus again. They're not, you know, practicing.
Well, and so you see what they've done personified by this meme. It's like Ayatollah, what Ayatollah Khomeini said in the speech explaining his thing. It's not per se that he doesn't like he doesn't like. It's like, hey, I'm not really against Americans and Israelis. I'm against what the people what some of these people in charge of those countries are doing. He gave a speech against Joe Biden like 10 years ago.
What? He did?
Interesting.
That's interesting.
But
didn't know that.
So I guess it was known that the guy was going to keep running for president until he became one.
Wow.
But you know, personified by this meme here, we have basically okay, that these people, half my country, we're down to about half the country. My country is losing its Christian percentage. People are no longer people are going to say Merry Christmas if they're not Christian, but people are not going to, people are stopping to identify as Christian. It's going to be most of the country's not, if it's not already the case, it's pretty soon, most of the country is not going to be Christian.
Well, that's good news.
Are Christian, they identify more with their political parties. They identify more with nationalism.
Wow.
They identify more with, as personified by the altered flag right below.
Like movement, for example. Zionist Christian. Have you ever heard about the Zionist Christian movement? Like now they're using the Christians for Zionist purposes.
Well, as I was saying, you find that Mormons and stuff like that were at the conference in the 1880s, and they were kind of the Jews were like, the Jews saw you have to set a good example and soon and all this stuff, and they put all that aside, and you know, so basically secularism being in charge of the world, but basically the world somehow still being evil. So that's the message of the politics nowadays. But back to the whole Paul thing, since, you know, particularly since we're talking on what they call an Easter Sunday.
Yeah.
Not only did the guy say he banned philosophy.
Okay. Yeah.
He banned philosophy from everyone.
Yeah, he did actually do that. Yeah, he did. He didn't allow people to discuss even the real nature of Jesus.
But not only I don't mean philosophy in terms of cultural, but Acts 19:19, they burned other people's religious texts. He banned philosophy. Oh, it was okay for him to do philosophy, to do a mixture of Aristotle
to do it, yeah,
and Stoic and other philosophies. It was okay for him to mix those techniques
talk about
together.
hypocrisy, right?
But everybody else better just believe and repeat.
Yeah, exactly.
and I will curse you to death. Supposedly he had the power to curse people to death if they didn't want to give up all their stuff to some communist leftist system.
Yeah.
But
I mean, red flags and people, I mean, shit.
and in the book of Hebrews and stuff like that, he's supposed to have written that there probably were some changes to the Paul's writings, but probably less than any of the other stuff. Clearly less than the other stuff, because they had to rewrite. Okay, how do we say that Jesus is God, and how do we work all these other mythological figures into it? And but Paul treated it's like, how can you say that this text is prophesying and stuff like this, and as is, it's perfect and stuff, but it's a shadow. It's all a shadow, and you need us to explain to you how it's an encoded message and all this. It's like listening to Alex Jones and waiting for the tidbits of truth that the guy's going to speak. Replaying that was it 60 Minutes interview from 1988 or something like that, or 98, or I don't remember. I think it was 88. But Alex Jones wasn't a complete liar. He was just
a Jew, definitely a Jew. He works for them, for the Zionists.
Well, it's like, what did he say? Alex Jones was like, he was until the September 11th, and they're like, we need this worldwide war, right? I mean, we don't, but we need this worldwide war. And so before that, he was preaching. Alex Jones was like, we don't need to be afraid of the Muslims and all this other stuff. And then it's like, we need to burn their flags. So he burns their flags and all this other stuff. And
I mean, that's stupid. I mean,
and all this stuff about. And interestingly enough, he comes up with wild conspiracy theories that distract. Distract from some of the real things. It's like
it's distraction.
It's like locking kids in cages. Over 1,400 kids. Was it 2014, 2015? Over 1,400 children went. All this Pizzagate stuff and stuff like this was to distract from the fact that kids that were locked up by our government disappeared.
Wow, I never thought about that one.
Over 1,400 kids in one month disappeared from the records, and they say, "Oh well, we knew about them last month, but we don't know what happened to them. They were sold into slavery over the dark web, probably. I don't know."
Probably,
Because in my the dark web is run by Al Gore helped set up the dark web. So don't let anybody fool you to think it's some place where you can go get away with crime and the government's not watching you. They are especially watching.
I've always suspected this the thing you're saying right now. Like, that's just another way of getting people into prison. They have control there too.
Well, they have a list. It's a place where people get away with stuff on the internet. But let's face it.
For example, I saw a documentary the other day where somebody was, that they tell you that, okay, to buy this drug online or steal someone's, create a fake ID, for example, it's very easy. It's like they're inviting you to do it. And once you do it, they actually get you.
You're on a list that they can get you if they want. So it's like, and you do a crime once, you do a crime twice, and then pretty soon you're on this list, and it's like, oh crap, they can put me in jail for life if they decide to prosecute me for all this stuff.
Get me think about like Pirate Bay, or for example, like they want to make that to appear safe, but once you do download, they probably have a database for, okay, you did it. Then 10 years after, they say, you remember 10 years ago, you downloaded a Nagoggle video without copyright, you know?
Or, well, it's like you know, you watched the Jurassic Park movie and with Japanese subtitles before it was on the screen. It's like, well, I saw it in the theater too because I wanted to see the.
That's why it's a spider web. You know, if you look at the Protocol of Zion, you see the Jew is the spider, and the net. The system is like the net. You know. You know, it has you. It's like a net. It has you, and you think you can escape it, but 10 years down the road, it will, you know, the spider web will have its webs around you, you know. So that's
now. I guess I'll say something about what I'm holding. It's like.
What's the beautiful one?
Aquamarine. What?
Is that like the aquamarine or?
No, it's one of those glass things for aquariums, but there was one of the deceased relatives, their funeral flowers. They were clearing out twice a year. They clear off the graveyard. So we took home the funeral flowers. It's like they're going to trash these if no one picks them up in the next week, or something.
Okay, cool.
So I ended up. I think this is where this came from because I doubt this would have stuck in between between the cleats of my shoes or something. Or I don't think any of us have shoes that would have this stick in it. But this probably. What?
Am I correct when I say that I don't get the feeling that you are buying crystals, like you are doing old school, like you treat them as loot, you know, you have to find them for them to be valuable for you, right? You're not the one who need to buy them or.
Well, the thing I'm doing different is I'm not treating, you know, like that's literally what these people would do. I mean, how they market this, you're literally treating some black cube hanging from a chain as your god. When you act like it's. Oh, well, I guess I bought the chain bit separately, but it had a little thing hooked up so you could hook it to a chain. It's like,
okay,
no, the power is in me. The power is in whatever entities decide to join me in my rituals. It's not that some herbs or rocks or something is somehow, or some symbol drawn on the ground is my god. It's like, no.
Anyway, yeah, they think that they inherit in the crystal, but it's actually the mind that gives it power, right?
It's like with this you know, with this series or any other such thing. It's like you evoke yourself. And it's like
exactly.
if I refer to it's like I don't, you know, these angels are supposed to be like God's computers or something like this. It's like so it seems just ridiculous to do these prayers to angels just zapping my energy for nothing where these things aren't meant to obey me in the first place. So
they're not. I mean, I personally believe that crystals were being told, you know, by our high priests not to trust all crystals because there are Jews who specialize in channeling angelic energies through these crystals. And I think that many of their thought forms can use the crystals to get to us, like affect the grid of the earth, the dragon grid, so to speak. It's like, you know, they have these ley lines. They have, you know, that's where they build their churches in certain ley lines, which are focal points, energy focal points, you could say. And I think the crystals play a role in that, you know, in a way. I'm not sure, but.
Well, you know, in some way, some of them actually can record information in one way or another. And
like the crystal, for example, right?
Quartz.
Yeah, like quartz crystal. That's like one crystal that can be programmed. I get the feeling that can be programmed to do whatever you want. Like you can like program, okay, whoever holds this crystal will be cursed, or whoever holds, like you can put a thought form in it which affects the holder of the crystal, so to speak. Is that true? Or
well, there's some of that, but you can protect yourself from some of the, it's like if I get anything, particularly if I'm getting at it, if I'm buying something at some new age shop or something like this, I connect my own energy to it. I'm not, it's like these people who perform rituals over their items that they sell. It's like, I'm not paying you for ritually imbibing the thing. It's like, you can say, with this, that you've seen this stone before, and yes, it is a bloodstone. What?
Is that the Shanghai, or is that selenite, perhaps?
No, this is my bloodstone. This is like jasper spotted in moss agate, maybe.
Yeah.
So it's got to have the red spots to be bloodstone, but so the red spots is usually jasper, I guess. But the
wow. Yeah, I mean, it's called bloodstone. I mean, hello.
But so in some of the ancient mythological systems, they referred to the sky as like the crystal sky, and so like it's like this. The earth was surrounded by, well, I mean, sort of not quite as dense as a solid stone, but if you look in any direction, we're surrounded by so many so many planets and rocks and all sorts of other stuff. So in a way, we are sort of surrounded by a circle of rocks,
Oh yeah.
Because they try to find a dead zone, and it turns out there's not this blank spot in the sky. It turns out it goes even deeper than that.
Wow, that's very interesting.
And but so I guess as a symbol of the sky, it's also a symbol of like, so the stone is like the stone is like the water, and the the bread things is like the bread. But it's like I used to say in my like the Goetia things, it's like my the Goetia stuff, the bread's a bit burnt, but that's what I had it on the plate there, so that's what flashed on the screen.
Okay.
It's the flesh and blood of the participants,
Oh wow, that's deep.
The power that runs through, as this meme so yes, it's the power of the blood, yes, it's the power of the soil, but not per se in like, and they complain about it. It's like the swastika and all these, the Nazis didn't really change what these symbols meant. It didn't all of a sudden become some evil or whatever. If people are going to say that Nazis are evil or racist or whatever, that's not. They didn't really change the symbolism.
Oh, that's also another fucking Jewish lie. So
it's like the Jews were before the NSDAP. The Jews used the swastika too.
Really?
But they abandoned it and started saying that it's hate symbol.
Of course, they infiltrate every all the even the Jewish alphabet, the oldest Jewish alphabet, were stolen actually from the Greek, all the pagan and
as I was saying, Aramea is what it was called until the Jews were the only ones speaking the language. And then they started saying it was Hebrew. But what you find in ancient scripts, it's written Aramea. That's how it's said. That's the language. And it was a there was mystical technology connected with it, but the Jews altered some of the formats of it.
Absolutely. Yep.
And like nowadays, without leaving names out, I guess, because you don't want to. Like, you don't have the recordings, we do, so you slandered us. It's like, no, I know what was said. But this thing that it's like, okay, it's as I'm saying, loyalty. Be loyal to your own character, right? It's like following your whatever your country wants to do, whatever your political party wants to do, isn't necessarily what should be supported. You don't have to war against it per se, but you don't have to support everything either. But
no,
so here's aside from this thing, blood and soil in the negative way. Just we all have blood and soil to work with. So let's work with it. Use that energy.
Sure thing.
Use the memory of it. Use the legacy of it. You don't have to be racist or xenophobic or something. You can use what you have with that. But this thing where it's like I wanted to interview I was going to interview this rabbi. But there's a few of them in the area, I guess. But but I wanted to interview this rabbi, and ended up he was asking me question. It's like, well, it doesn't matter. I mean, I'm saying right now though, but it doesn't matter my ancestry. What religion my parents or my grandparents or whatever consider me. It's like I distinguish sharply between. It's like a lot of it's like I said with the secular Judaism, which is a weird phenomenon. It's a weird phenomenon because others don't have it. If you're secular, if you're not even a liberal anymore, you're completely secular. You don't have religion. That's it. You don't have religion. Whatever. That's fine. Just admit it. Don't. It's like I'm an atheist Christian. It's like, what in the world's that?
I'm an atheist Jew. I'm a Christian Jew. So I was on Zoom. I was on a Zoom call, and so I witnessed what went on in this community, and they used the prayer, but they said, oh, it's an anti-Semitic thing that they say that we're not loyal to our country, and here let us pray that Israel, the modern state of Israel. Well, they don't say this in English. They threw this in. They threw this in something, but. It's like then they had written in, they're praying that the modern state of Israel is basically more guided and superior and all this other stuff to everybody else. They might as well put that logo of that one company. There's this media company that has this pile of bodies and boots and stuff. It's literally a Zionist logo that their Zionist secular Messiah is going to make everybody else lick their Jewish boot. Oh shit!
That's that's literally the origin of the thing. Some but it's like Sabotage V. If you've heard of Sabotage V, you have. So this guy, it wasn't that the Turks were like, oh, we need to get rid of the Jews, or it's like no. The issue is these people were saying, I am going to mount the seven-headed leopard. I'm going to conquer. Basically, this guy wanted to conquer the empire and take over Transjordan, basically.
Oh, really?
And even though he didn't have that power, obviously it was a huge subversive thing. And the Turkish people finally, they warned him, and finally he's like, hey, okay, this is it. Your movement here ends. Whether it ends with your life or it ends otherwise, that's it. Because they were trying to violently overturn the land, just like in the early 1900s, late 1800s, Zionism was a crime under the Turkish Empire, because it was because they were persecuting Jews for being Jews. They were persecuting the people who wanted to take over the land and set up their own country in the middle of their country.
Wow. Shit.
And it's like, this Hatred's Kingdom by Dora Gold that I picked up to read.
You have a lot of books, I guess.
that book details how it's like, one, a lot of it's a reaction to Ibn Taymiyyah was reacted against the Crusades. He developed his ideas during the Crusades. Ibn Wahab was at the end of colonialism, and he didn't like what was going on, and he had some issues with that. But actually, it was actually what they call Wahhabism isn't even that. But the whole thing was a political reaction to the West, led by. Now it's understandable. Hey, you have people invading your land, people that don't want you to have your own culture or even your own language, want you to learn English and speak so you can read the Bible and call yourself by Western names or whether it's their corporations, however they're doing it. These people didn't like it, and that's understandable. But it went too far at times, right? Some of what they did went too far, and I'm not supporting that. But basically, this ancient Jewish tribe took over against the Hashemi, and they tried and they tried again, and until the third time, now you have the third Saudi kingdom, and this Saudi Arabia is what we know of it as today. After its third attempt, it took 3 attempts for it to stick, and it's stuck the last 80 years or however. I don't remember what year Saudi was founded, but
Yeah. Wow. That's interesting. I mean, one thing that bothers me a lot, is, the people who say the white race can't be racist against, Semites or whatever. I mean, they're ignoring the whole history of that having happened. Like every culture in the past, like hundreds or so, of all different races, all different origins, have had the same war against this parasite. And so they can't see how natural it is to be anti-Semitic. I mean,
well, and that's part of the thing in the first place. It's like you look at it, it's like, as I'm saying, with this community that I interact with, I don't think there were any. I don't think there. I'd have to see a wider selection of them, but I don't think there were any Semites of them. They were all ancestors of people from other nations. They weren't Semites. They were like ancestors of Turks and Russians and Germans. Those were those people's ancestors.
Wow.
I mean, descendants. They were descendants of Russians and Turks and stuff like this. And genetic studies have proven that that over 90% of the Jews, basically any study, don't have Semitic ancestry. They're basically Christianity spread, and people started calling themselves Jews where Christianity spread. And maybe Paul knew that. Maybe Paul knew that when you spread Christianity, you're going to get Judaism. So he ended up with Judaism spreading to a degree that it just never did. But the real anti-Semites, or as it says somewhere in their own book, if you pick up the Tanakh, you have prophecies about these invaders from the north. And the local people were these brown-skinned people with black woolly hair. It's like, wait, what? Who are the white light-skinned people? The Jews you typically think of Jews as light-skinned, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And where are they coming from? They're coming from Russia, Germany, around New York or something. Of course, the rich Jews don't want to go back. Don't want to go to Israel.
Another thing, a track to or a similar sidetrack, you could say, with what I was saying is that, if you're white and you're hating on, let's say, some Semitic, Jews or whatever, they say, oh, you're racist. But I mean, how do I say this? I mean, even the foreigners themselves who, let's say, are in Sweden, even they are reacting upon the unnaturalness of all the mixture of races. Like, for example, they're even fighting amongst themselves. Like many, Turkish people are fighting their own race. I mean, they're even fighting themselves because they know deep inside that it's unnatural for us to be living in these suburban areas, and but it's
you look at how the resources are run. California could feed 3 times the world's population with certain principles of, but you don't want to cut down on the production of alcohol. No, that's a bad idea. You don't want to feed. You don't want to have the animals only eat the plants in the area.
Okay.
Circle them around. No. So
Exactly. So true.
With all these pollution problems and all this other stuff, and then the vegans come in with something that's bad for the environment too, just not quite as bad for the environment. All this transformed garbage that they feed you under these vegan scams. It's like, what we need is, we need no antibiotics or steroids in our food, and maybe animals that aren't. And maybe don't electrocute the animal before we eat it. That'd be nice.
Not the killing of the animal, it's the torture of the animal we're against. And you know, the Native Americans, for example, or the old cultures, you know, the pagan cultures there back in the days, when I either killed an animal when it died a natural death, or they kill it, even nature itself, you know, it kills, it doesn't torture, it's and I don't know so much about that, but it's very quick. I mean, I don't think animals torture each other the way humans torture animals, if you know what I mean.
Well, a lot of stuff, we want stuff to look nice, but when you electrocute an animal, I'm sorry, that doesn't go over well for it. It's you know, it's a very painful. Are they drug overdoses? And that's, drug overdoses are not a nice way to go, but that's one of the other ways they kill animals. And it's like, no, you having a heart attack, if I've had some experiences with medication that I was prescribed that was like utterly horrible stuff. And it's like, and like one time I was like, it's like the air was killing me. What? It's like, that's what it felt like. Yeah, it felt like the air was killing me.
Have you ever heard about akathisia, for example? That's restless leg syndrome that people can get by certain drugs. Like, there's one in particular called Invega or whatever, and they use it. They give it in the butt or whatever. You know, if you're not behaving in the psychiatric hospital. But that's kind of scary too. That people they can't sit still, and you know, there's a lot of fucking. You know, the Jews, you know, the interesting part is the first Jew, you know, what was his name again? Anyway, he was doing some experiments on pigs, actually, before slaughtering them. They used to electrocute, you know, the frontal cortex of the pig. And it's interesting that, so they electrocuted the pigs, and they saw that they were paralyzed. They could, you know, they couldn't resist anymore being slaughtered. The same principle they're using now when they're electroshocking people, you know. It's the same principle.
And it makes us weak. It makes us weak to be these to be these pathetic individuals. It's like, oh, I want to eat meat all the time, but I'm afraid even. So you find every year. Watch in not May, in July. In July this year, people are going to phone. There's going to be a lot of animal sacrifices in July, and the people that they're going to phone the police on people acting like what, electrocuting a pig or electrocuting a cow or beating a pig with a billy club. That's okay, but the fact that some guy shows up in some guy in a wool robe kills a or whatever kills an animal, and you don't hear it cry for help. So you say some weird rituals going around there. It's like, I usually hear the squealing, the animals being killed at other farms, but I didn't see this. So they got to be doing something illegal. It's like, what the shit? And it's perfectly legal in my country. They can't you know, they can't get you for practicing a religion, particularly if animal slaughter is legal in your country. It's like that's garbage that they would outlaw. Where is it in Europe that they actually passed a law against that you have to drug, or you actually have to drug or stun the animal before you slaughter it?
Oh, that's interesting. Really?
Yeah, they hated the Muslims so much that they thought that they would destroy their they would destroy their religious practice by outlawing
Yeah, exactly.
They killed
Because these are
animals. But the amount of fear, the amount of fear and pain that's gone through with the drugging and stunning, it's
oh shit. Oh my gosh, that is terrible to even think about. I mean, these people don't have any compassion. I mean, that's the thing with Jews, you know, they don't have any compassion against their victims. I mean, we see that throughout the Bible, you know.
well,
Kill,
the Persians.
yeah,
The one time that you had a significant Jew, the one time that they know that they had a Jewish queen, they celebrate every year that they actually survived that queen. That queen had like what, 78,000 something people murdered. It's where the Book of Esther comes from. The woman said the woman, she was suspicious of the tribe that one guy came from. Instead of, I understand this guy hatches up some scheme to have you and your people killed, and it doesn't work, and you have what? Have as many of their people killed as possible. It's like, no.
yeah,
So
yeah,
every year they said that they celebrate that, but
yeah,
as I was saying, you know, aside from the blood, it's like, okay, where you were born or where land you have to live in or something, that's not necessarily your choice. Like people say, it's like, why did you live? Why live in that moldy apartment for all those years? It's like, you think I wouldn't have moved? Very much. You think I wanted to move right away, but if you have to pay 3 times the rent to get into a place, you have to have 3 times the rent to get into a place. Where are you going to live when you're poor?
And they say, like, for example, people are so narrow-minded, they can only think
once you live somewhere, you're probably stuck. And they know you're stuck. The apartment managers are like, this dude's poor. We don't have to fix anything that doesn't leak into another apartment. So aside from the toilet, we can aside from the plumbing, we can leave stuff alone.
Yeah, like one of the things that bothers me a lot is, like, you know, people, you know, they make it seem like everything is in your hands, like you can never be a victim.
And government housing government housing can take. I was on that list for 15 years.
Wow, really?
I'm still on a list or two, I think.
Wow.
It's like some people get in right away, but they have this lottery system, so they say, oh, on average it will take 10 years to get in, and then but there's some of us that it doesn't take 10 years, it takes 20 or something.
Oh shit.
And there, it's not like you can be homeless the whole time, or particularly Portland, Oregon is horrible. Portland, Oregon is horrible. The amount of crime, particularly the so-called, we're fighting racial injustice by doing millions of property damage in the following cities, and we killed, you know, we're killing more people than more black people than the entire country's police force did last year unarmed. But we're doing it in our city, and we're claiming to fight injustice against the blacks, which didn't apparently.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, there are police that cross the line, but acting like it's the whole country because there's like 5 people a year or something is, you know, or there the media twists the stories too. Like, we're not going to use the police body cam. We're not going to use the medical examiners that say this or that or the other. We're going to use some bystanders and their emotional testimonies and all this stuff.
It's also a distraction, you know, BLM. Like, I see this as a distraction too. Like, you know, it's only okay to be racist if we tell you to be racist. So they're not racist for the right reasons. Like, now you're racist because the media told you to, you know, it's not your reason. It's not your ancestral reasons. Like, you know, there's like a real racism that comes from, okay, it's the self-preservation of our race. That's why we don't want these niggers here all around, you know, for example. Well, I mean, I mean, this.
Yeah, that's how people would say it. But it's, again, look at what happened with Harlem. Harlem was dominated by Jews until some Jews decided to basically upturn. They didn't even care about the Jews. They didn't care about the other Jews. Their focus was particularly in the wake of World War II. They wanted to create what they call Black culture, which is not the same thing as just being black or something like that. It's not the same thing as being foreign or something. They wanted to create a black culture that they could consider to be the enemy.
You know, I make a distinction between an African and a nigger. An African, that's African, but a nigger, that's a stereotype, a Jewishly socially engineered stereotype.
Okay, so like a term, that's kind of yeah, because it's like as I'm saying, I don't judge people. People judge constantly, whatever. But I don't judge people based on their mere nationality, their mere label of whatever group. What they do, what they believe in, what they do. That's far more important than whatever label they come up with.
No, he even had Muslim people in his army or whatever, because they were all united in the same vision.
You mean how Hitler mentioned that basically he wished that the Germans were as disciplined of the people as some of what he saw amongst.
Yeah, I think so. That is a very interesting, because many people don't realize that Hitler actually had all kind of nationalities in his own army. Because what's important, what makes you a Gentile, is not the color of your skin or whatever. It's the commonality of thinking the same way of, okay, we all need to have our own race intact, and we all share the same enemy. And to me, that makes you a Gentile.
Well, the idea that it's like, particularly since you mentioned Muslim, one of the things that's different that's different in the Quran than in the Bible. The Abrahamic covenant wasn't a blood and soil thing for the Muslim. It was that the promise to Abraham there in Surah 2 doesn't mention, it's not about whether you literally descend from Abraham or not. It's whether you have a certain degree of beliefs and deeds. That's what
exactly.
So so it's not something Ishmael against Isaac or some garbage like that. And that's what they want you to think. That's what they keep repeating on the TV, and you don't find it in Islamic sources. This idea that it's the Ishmaelites against the Israelites.
All about division. The Jews, they created these stories to kind of create an artificial conflict between different races, so they don't come together to see the common enemy, so to speak.
Well, that's what's going on with the things right now. It's like they want rather than they want the political parties to be all at each other's throat. They want the races to be at each other's throat. It wasn't enough to try to blame all the white people for this. Now the white people are even at fault for the black people attacking the Asians people. Now it's not all the black people. I'm not saying anything like that. It's certain individuals, certain things is more common. And honestly, let's, even if you exclude the immigrant populations, which are darker skinned and better off, even if you exclude that, most of what's left among the people that they call black in my country, they would support the return to the death penalty. They would support some real measures to they're not I've talked to a lot of people of different colors and stuff like this, and honestly, what
that blacks, they want to demonize, but Hitler never did that. He never demonized any race like the media does. There's a true racism and there's a Jewish racism, like this skinhead, kind of thing. We see in the X movies, American History X and stuff. That's a wrong portrayal of Nazis, right there, So.
And that's even wrong with the
they
only, it's like the prison movies. either everybody has their head shaven and it has nothing to do with it,
prison movies, yeah.
or I mean, either in the jail or the prison unit, it doesn't matter what you are or what you believe. People have their head shaved because this is war. You got to be ready to fight. You don't want people pulling on your hair, or it's like you're in this place and it's dirtier and stuff like this. You don't want to have to spend that extra time cleaning that thing. Whatever the reasons, it's like it's usually not racism that gets people to go around shaving their heads.
Okay, yeah.
That's the dead fact of it.
No, it's not. It's not.
I mean, and you know, and those people aren't as common. You know, it's more common in prisons, but it's in jails, but it's not. You know, it's not the dominating factor that people think there is.
Yeah.
And honestly, the fact of the matter is, the most racist gangs tend not to be white supremacist gangs. The white supremacists are basically, they figure, okay, there's a bunch of racist people here against us, and we got to stick together, whether we're racist, whether any particular one is racist or not. They figure they got to stick together, and they're doing what they feel they have to do. But
exactly.
other groups that are like the guerrillas. I mean, I'm not saying that as a racial slur. They were actually called the guerrillas. And
that's a good one.
They
is that really a coincidence that it's almost called like guerrillas? I'm starting to wonder now. That can't be.
It's yeah. Basically, they're basically, but it's like it's like I remember one time as I encountered this guy. It's like, no, dude, it wasn't racism. You were a crack dealer.
What do you say? It wasn't
race. You know, you weren't being persecuted because of your color. You were a low level crack dealer.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, I mean, the guy finally had to admit that. Yeah, I did time because I was a crack. It wasn't because they were going after blacks or something. But they sing it on the people sing it on the TV. All these songs and all this other stuff, and they put on the Grammys. These women that basically put forward the idea that if you're a black woman, all you are is some object for a bunch of men to have sex with, and you're not doing that. You're smoking marijuana and doing other drugs. It's like, are you kidding me? And then people complain about that. It's like, this is horrible. It's like, how dare you turn against black culture like this? It's like, it's like, there's, you know, most black women are more respectful than that, more respectable than that. Thank you very much.
Oh my gosh, shit, this is crazy.
That WAP, I don't recommend anybody looks at it. That's you know, but but that's what they're doing to you know, these people in charge. They want to split us up on this, that, or the other.
Meaning the stuff, you know. I mean, they can create anything like out of thin air and create division out of it, you know. That's how the Jews have been working ever since day one, you know. I mean, starting with, you know, the Ishmael tribe and this tribe and that tribe. I mean, just tribal consciousness, you know. It's not the real tribal consciousness. It's like an artificial tribal, like
and that's what they're bringing back. It's like, you look at the whole what they call the Middle East. It's like, first of all, almost the entire Middle East is Africa. So just call it Africa and a little bit of Asia, you know. But so first of all, they play that game, and second of all, they're like, they've created all these nation states. As I'm saying, you go back 1,000 years or something. Yeah, there were different nations and stuff.
Yeah,
but
it was natural. It was like, okay, all the tribal wars back in the days, it was naturally motivated. Now the Jews want to come in and artificially motivate those different tribal wars. There's
a couple of the top 10 families that aren't linked as Jewish, but they want to do the same thing. They want to step in and make profit off problems in society. And Jeff Bezos, he's not what his family is not. It's just him. So he's you know, what, he's got $1 trillion, but he's, you know, so he's right at the top too. His group is right at the top too. It's just not quite there because he's not this old family, and it's just him basically. I mean, his father is not rich, or at least his family's his ascendant.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, his father saw his son on TV one day and didn't realize it's like, you know, you're working a barely middle class job, and here's this turn on the TV and your son's it's like, wait a second, that's my son, isn't it? Can you imagine that, not seeing your family for 10 years, and you find out that here you are struggling to get by, and they're the richest person in the world.
That scenario, I don't think I have that scenario, but
yeah, that's really got to be a kick in the teeth.
Okay, I haven't seen my family for 10 years, but they're actually billionaires. Okay, let's reunite. Shit.
But
I mean,
yeah, it's there's and they set up these policies. It's like it's not corporations per se. It's what rules they set for their corporations upon. It's not the fact. It's like people talk about against capitalism and all this stuff. And
because we could have Gentile corporations that run by Gentile principles, like meritocratic principles, for example. We could have that, but instead the Jews, you know, who I think it was, let me control the law of the country, and we control the country. It was a Jew who said that. What was the name again? No, actually it was, give me the control of the wealth. That was, give me the control of the wealth and I control the law. And once you control the law, you control the whole place, the whole nation. Or control the head.
There's a lot of these companies, it's like they use this excuse for this illegal Hispanic immigration, or this not properly controlled immigration. Now, it used to be the days when, you got strongly motivated, strongly working people that moved into countries and maybe even made things better for that country. And now it's kind of the, but they set up a system to lower the wages since the 1970s. It's like the immigration from the South in my country has hurt the economy in terms of the wages of the people and some of the quality issues and stuff like this. It's not because of some inherent. It turns out the Hispanics are lower, even with the illegal immigration, are lower crime, lower, better working people than your average American. It's I mean, I'm not going to turn my back and let some Somali gangster rob me, because Somalis tend to be have a lower crime rate. You know, it's because you know, they're not all better. You know, so either way, a blind prejudice doesn't really is going to backfire against you somehow. And you know, and one of the things is, it's like the Black Lives Matter people, half of them act like if you say something that a black person doesn't like, you're going to get attacked or killed or something. It's like, and you're saying you're fighting racism by this sort of stuff.
Yeah, you have a sign, all lives matter, then you're also in danger. Because the message was really,
a lot of this stuff, it's done to lower the freedom, to lower the wages of the people overall. And so the Hispanics being mutilated by the cartels that bring them in, and otherwise abused. It's like, but it lowers our price of vegetables. It doesn't. The companies that run the show can double everybody's wages at the bottom, and it won't hurt them a bit. Well, it won't hurt the system a bit, but it hurts. They instead of getting 20,000 times the wages for the top employees, versus the bottom employees, it's going to be like 10, or even if it's 1,000. Come on, you're not spending that anyways, and only you know.
Yeah, exactly. Oh shit, yeah.
And on top of that, it's like these people buying off these making these underground bunkers in the middle of in the
sorry,
west of America, and have tunnel and have entire city blocks to themselves in New York, and stuff like this. They've, you know, the reason why they're not as safe is because of what they do to the people at the bottom. So that's backfiring against them in different ways too.
Wow, shit, yeah.
But, you know, it's like as you may see, I'm doing this stuff about Genghis Khan and his descendants and their spiritual path and their response to the other religions and stuff.
There's a lot of your stuff I need to watch. A lot of your videos will be watched.
Oh, I'm not sure when I'm going to get to it, but definitely like probably in September or October or something, I'll get around to it, or maybe earlier, I don't know. But if you have any request of Lovecraft material that I haven't done, or or one of the videos failed or something like that, let me know, and I'll see what I can definitely do some requests there.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I mean, there's a lot of H.P. Lovecraft stuff, and I do intend to.
Me too. And I'm you know, I have that's the first of your videos that I was going to watch. I've been distracted by so many other things, but as soon as I get to your videos, the first ones will be the Lovecraft series, because I've been wanting to watch that for a long time. And but I mean, how do you plan your videos when you do your videos? Do you plan them like months ahead, or?
Well, it's just all depends. Some stuff, obviously, I've been like, oh, hey, I have enough scrap cement candles. I'll think up something to say here, and I'm making green candles today, so I'll do a live video holding my new green candles once they've got cool enough to hold in my hand, you know, because they get liquid and you don't want to spill a bunch of hot candle wax anywhere. But
that's a very interesting way of starting a project.
Okay, well, we can continue talking for a minute, but is there any further thoughts that you think we should know about the Joy of Satan? Are there rituals? Are there structures or something?
Yeah, we were going to discuss the pentagram, right? Maybe we should focus on the pentagram for a bit, because we never covered that one.
Because we have been sort of wandering with the conversation. It hasn't been like the others, but that's all perfectly fine. And so let me find some of my pentagram graphics here. So using that script regarding the pentagram rite, you know. So we have
that's interesting.
Which one you want to see first? We got Abaddon, Azazel, Beelzebub, Behemoth, Belial.
Okay, let's go with Belial then. Or which one did you have there? Or?
Well, let's go in order of the pentagram, right?
Yeah.
And
okay.
So you talk while I load things.
Sure thing. Yeah, we were talking about the so-called Sumerian. The Sumerian style of writing the pentagram, which is an alternative to Mr. LaVey's way of doing things, which was more Hebraic, as you can say, and he was, after all, a Jew, or he came from a Jewish family, actually. Yes, and so he was influenced by many Jewish forces, like many other occultists, like Crowley and others. And so we of the Joy of Satan, we tend to stick with the original script, so to speak, of the gods that we receive directly from the gods, of how to correctly paint a pentagram with the Sumerian style. And Mr. Jafar here, he is going to give us an even better alternative, perhaps it seems, to our Joy of Satan style of doing things.
Oh.
But yeah, so please explain here, what are these symbols?
Okay, well, as some people will know, I don't know what, 6 years ago, I guess, that I came in and I said, how can I redo the pentagram? The pentagram rite needs two things that the Golden Dawn messed up. If I need to get rid of this Golden Dawn pronunciation, which is largely inaccurate, and I need to get rid of this just now. Mao Sheshi Ta Menta Chemeshta, you know, the star of 6, and this above me the star of 6, the star of 5. It's like, okay, but we can do better than that. So we can fix the language. That really is kind of an off point of the mythology. So okay, so the biblical that region's demonology, that region's cosmology, as you could say. So I said, okay, the 4 hells. Let's have the 4 hells in here. And let's have the 9 demons with the, of course, the variation here of
wow.
You know, you want, you know, so that variation there. So of course the quadrant runs. Now I'll say this in English to make it clear, but I'll leave this in. In the east, Baal-zebub. In the south, Belial. In the west, Leviathan. In the north, Bahmut.
Wow.
Above me, above, Azazel.
Wow.
Below, Abadun. In the presence of Ha-Shathan. The seat of Ha-Sathan. Within is Shaitan, also known as small or Shma'al. So that's I guess a version of the directions of where that would be placed.
Where do you get all this from? That's what I'm wondering. This is wow.
And as different than what LaVey has, although in this language you would have to still read right from left here and here and there, but what you have also is the pentagrams are drawn from their respective coins. So when you have Belial here, you have to start at the point of fire. You have to go to the point of fire, and then you have to go out and out and out. So you have these letters. And if you look at just like the hieroglyphs, you can kind of say that something that you learn something further than just the meaning that they're going to give you. The meaning that they're going to give you for
wow, this is very complete. Like
so
this
it's like Azazel. You can tell right. You can tell right, even if you don't know.
Yeah.
You got this mattock there. You got this mattock, and that mattock is
you actually
the seed. What?
Yeah, you actually. Or what? Did you mean the symbol or?
Yeah, when you don't have it in these square, and when you don't say this stuff in the square Hebrew letters, not only is you have some extra letters sometimes or some difference there, but you have the the last al. You have the variation of this one where you have al as the last. So you have the strength that sees itself as cut off from God is the name Azazel. And you can tell in the book of Leviticus, I think, that where the Jews kind of wanted to usurp some of the Yazidi, as it is called nowadays, from Yazata and Yazdan. It's not the type of angel that's the loyal host of heaven that's automatically just going to obey Yahweh. It's but Yazdan means worship worthy, basically. So Yazidi kind of comes between those two words, that we are the people that do this. And they merge themselves with the clay beings. There are other manifestations of Satan in other parts of the world, but it was a lot bigger. It was the Yazidi thing was a lot bigger. It's a culture that it existed among this culture, not just from as New Year is going to start pretty soon for them, going to start year 6,771 is going to start later this month. One of the things that's going to, it always starts the sunset. It starts, the Tuesday after sunset. Into that Sunday, that Wednesday. So Ash Wednesday, as I said before, they put the red flower on the door, but it's not. And it predates Judaism, so it's obviously it wasn't the lamb was killed to say as part of the sacrifices to save the ancient Israelites. It's something that it's something that goes back further.
Definitely.
But it goes the black snake incarnation, the Ahrimani path, as it would be called in other ways. The ancient Egyptians. Set was incarnated, and I've one of my ancient Egyptian Set is the of the foreigners. So basically that's one of the ideas with the whole Set thing, is that Set as a god of the foreigners is what they would say. But one of the incarnations was a big black dog with a white spot. Big black snake with a white spot. Big black dog with a white spot. And you've seen my flag that's hanging over my couch there.
Really?
The yin yang flag. Doesn't that descend from these myths of Satan incarnate as a big as a snake with a black spot or with a white spot? So it's this whole huge current, and people think it's like and the Jews, for example, are somebody that they try to obscure it. They act like they minimize the reference to their own tradition and act like, it's Satan,
that's the key.
Not this thing. And they act like, Satan wasn't even a big figure before these characters. It's like, are you kidding? There was no. How can Satan all of a sudden make an appearance after most of humanity's gone?
Exactly. Satan is. It's universal. People don't realize that there's a universal thread going on culturally, which we can call Satan. And that's basically everything. This planet is created by Satan. All the four corners, the four seasons, the four, which the Jews later corrupted, But I mean, the sun, Jesus is the sun. I mean, it's all stolen, it's but there's a universal thread. And that thread is, what they want to disconnect us from.
And
So
if you see on my graphic, I will point out this one day for Yari. Yari is the fiery. So part of my name there, right there, is in the it's the fiery element. So it's my own fire. It's not some other,
Yeah, it's not
my own fire. The pitchfork sort of thing going there. The 333, as you're familiar, as you may be familiar with it. I've done stuff about numbers as things go along, but not numbers as in what?
Yeah, I think you know more about numbers than this organization, this 333. Please tell us more about that, because I'm very curious and interested in this.
Well, first of all, let me do a quick plug of the number that I did the most of is 603, which apparently is an extremely demonized number. Yes, I understand Salrot maybe doesn't sound too nice there but
Yeah.
So now you can't agree with everything, and for example, certain people are going to claim, for example, that now that a lot of groups are just a bunch of particularly if it's satanic or it's of a different political persuasion. Then like right now, if you don't believe that voting machines can, if you believe that voting machines can be programmed or fixed by people working in the polling places, particularly when they chase the people who plan to work there in the first place out of the office, then you must be a dangerous terrorist or something. It's like whatever you believe on that issue, that's ridiculous that it's twisted off in that direction. But okay, anyways, 333. What happens?
Please enlighten us.
One of the importances of getting up in the middle of the night, it's not that you stay for rituals. It's not that you stay up all night and just wear yourself out and depress yourself and all sorts of stuff because you're not producing the chemicals that sleeping in the middle of the night would do. What happens if you've been asleep for after 3 hours in the dark? After 3 minutes in the dark, you get a third of your night vision. After another 30 minutes, you get the second third. After an additional 3 hours, you get your full night vision. So after an average of 3 hours and 33 minutes, you get your full night vision. So what better way? Not only do you produce the chemicals in your sleep, but you're waking up with your full night vision. So if you ritually sleep, you have that sight in darkness like you were intended to. And you're doing it at night. If you're sleeping during the day, you miss out on a lot of this. Even through your eyelids, you're not adjusting. When everything's pink, when you shut your eyes, you're not adjusting like you would if you did this when you were asleep. So it also relates to, in Enochian, the real way to pronounce it is coronzome. Coronozome, rather than it's not ka, it's
sounds like chromosome. The DNA.
Coronos, oh wait, I messed that up because that chromosome. But they people say it with the N, and the people say it with the CH, and people say it,
many different ways. I can see that. On the graph
but you have coronzome is the basic Enochian way to say it. And so that's the 11 squares. The 11 squares on the Enochian tablet. The 11 blank squares, the ones without letters. This is where the demon of dispersion is listed in the
Mhm.
Enochian system. So,
Oh, interesting. There we have
well,
11.
that's my that's
Okay.
that's a different graphic, but that relates a little bit there.
Yeah. Interesting.
But basically,
Mhm.
you know, how it relates, how the Temple of Blood relates is the Temple of
Yeah.
Blood. There's a system.
Mhm.
You know, the Adam Waffen division sees it in a little bit different light, and I don't want to be seen as too sympathetic to James Mason's work. Although there is, when James Mason went on Bob Larson, the famous exorcist who used to make like $40 million a year.
Oh, him. Oh.
He went. Bob
yeah.
Larson went on his show, and his organization,
Woo.
the order was made illegal, and
Wow.
he feared that he officially disbanded the Adam Waffen division, but Adam Waffen division is still available on the internet to those with connections. That's all I'm saying there. But you know, basically, one thing that he said, it's like Bob Larson said enough said enough Christian ideas that were wrong to basically overshadow that Bob Larson was not quite right in what he was saying either, but it wasn't like Bob Larson stood out that much as wrong compared to, I mean, that James Mason stood out as that wrong compared to Bob Larson.
Wow.
Because they were both pretty wrong in certain respects.
Somebody was calling me in the conversation. I'm sorry.
But what?
Yeah.
But
somebody was calling my phone. Yeah, but yeah, continue.
James Mason basically said, did we really win World War II? Because look what happened to our country. And that's what we see, particularly among certain groups. The crime exploded. The crime exploded in the country. He saw before him, like my father did, and anybody whose parents are still around, they can tell you how it used to be that, you know, a man could go to work and support his whole family on his paycheck, and women were expected to be loving to the kids, and same thing with the fathers. The fathers, you know, the fathers tended to like having kids, children better, and a lot of this was taken away. And now they're acting like that stuff in your pants that you know that naturally grew there. That doesn't mean you're a male. Have you considered being a woman?
What the?
It doesn't matter what your blood. It's like there's two genders. Biologically, there are two genders. I'm sorry. Intersex intersex still shows up as either you're male or female. There's no other option in physical biology, and they're trying to force our acceptance of, you have to say Z and Zer or whatever. But anyways, the Temple of Blood, you know, you got your own power. You're working your own power. You're connecting. You're connecting to entities that predate all of that predate all this, or you're connecting to an energy or whatever. And there's a pull with you know, drill sergeant Greys, like the agent basically, but that just like the order of 9 angles, they refer to all those, they basically use all those names that are traditionally used there or more. There's ones they focus on more than others. But
that's an interesting organization too, I must say.
But you know, you don't have to, you know, with none of this, you don't have to be some neo-Nazi abuser or you don't have to, contrary to, it's like, you don't have to beat yourself. You don't have to hit yourself 88 times a day, and you don't have to starve yourself for 3 months eating only meat and milk and nothing else. Because apparently if you do that, it's not long before you start losing weight and getting weaker, because your body starts saying, it's like, okay, a little meat's okay, but everything that you eat being meat, you know, that just doesn't.
I mean, the ONA, by the way, is very, I can't say much about it because there's not only one ONA, as I understand it. There's a lot of branches even there. I can imagine.
Well,
So it's not.
that was
Yeah.
the thing. The temple of blood branched
Yeah.
off the Order of Nine Angles,
Yeah.
but it was more Order of Nine Angles itself tends to be more philosophical than.
Okay. I understood that far. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of infighting among themselves, even. So, I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, VK Johanna. One thing that happened with him that I take side with is that
problem with O9. Yeah.
is that they were like, oh, you can only use you can't use certain languages or something like that, and he was like,
okay, yeah,
okay, well,
yeah.
No,
language, what the fuck?
And he's like, no, you don't have to, like, you don't have, you don't have to be
exactly. You're
to,
followed by the
what?
Yeah.
And in fact, some of this stuff.
Yeah.
Some of this stuff
interesting, I must say. Yeah.
It's like what did I point out earlier with some of that is that, if you break with if you break with the Jewish law in certain respects, a lot of these areas open up, particularly when you don't. It's like I told you about this gesture, the interlacing of the fingers that Christians do when they pray. You're basically binding yourself to the whole to the whole system. It's imitating a knotted rope.
Exactly. Yeah. Wow. Shit. Huh. Gotta be careful, I must say.
And
yeah.
And some of them bind, and some people go, since we brought up that, and we're not being terribly ordered today anyways, but
we can continue in the same disorder.
So here's a Samhain ritual that I did.
Okay.
And so I took his symbols. I worked. There's my own chants and stuff to it. So I mixed in some of the stuff that I saw on that channel. And basically, it's almost like it's part of it's like, you have the princesses, and so you technically have 4 princesses, and so you sort of have an almost tarot sort of system involved there, but it's not quite. It lines up with that.
Yeah. Wow. It's so, these symbols look very, very interesting. Wow. This is very awe-inspiring in a way, even though I don't understand it, but I mean, it makes you curious. You want to know more. What is that, Orion or?
No. This one is my.
Yeah.
This is my Order of Nine Angles, sort of related dark, scrying mirror.
Wow, cool.
So I have sort of the names and whatnot on the back, and I have the I have arranged as almost a tree of life on the thing there.
Wow, cool.
Which you
is this set up? Is this set up where you live, or is this?
Oh, I have this mirror in the room with me.
Cool. It's a golden mirror, even. It's a big golden mirror, it seems.
But yeah, see, it's
Yeah.
It's this is the names thereof. So the symbols.
Chaos. Who is Chaos? And we have Atush here. Bina At.
Some of it's kind of jumbled and sort of unique to itself. It sort of seems, but a lot of underground traditions.
Yeah.
Just like the Goetia are the Haya are Gautama. Daimonia, you know, I messed that up, but you know the Greek here. But Gochtaya is the short way of saying the Goetia. You know, Goh and
there's some Greek there.
That spelling.
Greek.
Because instead of umata, you would have just itia. You know,
itia.
You know, kind of sounds like some samurai thing. Gochtaya. You know.
What does it say there really? What are these red letters?
That's what I'm saying. You know. Humata. Gochtumata. Daimon.
Oh.
So basically the sorcery of demons, and then you have the sigils behind, you know.
Yeah, this is advanced stuff there. I keep to the simple invocation process when it comes to demons, but this is more ancient, more. Yeah, this certainly looks more ancient in its approach to the magic, so to speak.
Well, and, also one of the things is it's a lot of stuff. It's what survives. It's what survives or sticks out or whatnot. A lot of people some of the oldest information of people. The Hindu, apparently humans are even older than they previously thought. In the Hindu Kush Himalayas, you have you have remnants of people in the Hindu Kush Himalayas from about 11 million years ago, and they had what looks like writing or symbolic expression of some sort. And among what they had is, you know, but anyways, for the longest, people act like, oh, we're looking for a bunch of god and goddess statues and stuff like this, and they didn't really have religion because they didn't have that. It's like, actually, most religion isn't this, and what lasts is not the individual personifications of what they consider to be gods or goddesses. It's there's spirit. By religion, I mean there's spirituality, not necessarily, you know. I'm not going to let some Christian priest or some rabbi or something tell me what religion is or what isn't religion. Religion is supposed to be a relationship with all of life. It's not supposed to have things consistent. You know, essentially the term doesn't imply that stuff is left out.
No, exactly. That's the key. That's the key to your work. That's what you're doing.
It's
no deep.
It's like I can like when the you know. It's interesting when animal slaughter became a totally secular thing. That's when a lot of cruelty slipped into that. It was rare to there were groups that tried not to have animal bleed, and they beat it till it died or choked it out or something. But for the most part, when it was a sacred act, the treatment of animals, even in the hunt, was, you know, so much better. And that people regarded how the environment worked on them and how like for the future of the land. They regarded the future of the land, and that's
I'm aware. I mean,
so that's the thing. It's like on this what they call Easter Sunday. I, rather than what I was taught as a child to take off the natural man, I put on the natural man. It's like, in a way, you know, as I'm saying, when you see my videos, and I got the plate out with my weird bread thing, which is
what's that?
Not only does it represent earth, and this represents like heaven, this also is like blood. This is like flesh. So I am thinking about just like in my the Goetia work. May it become our flesh. May it become our blood. You know. This exactly. You know, I'm connecting with the world outside me. I am, you know, I'm cold. You know, it's like
Yeah.
Some of what goes on, it's like if you I mean, I do meditations in the graveyard, and yes, I'm connecting to the energy, the legacy.
Also, like meditations in the graveyard.
What?
That's the best. I always, every time I go meditating, do void meditations, I always go to the graveyard, actually.
But one of the things I think happens.
Yeah.
So like I think it's not so much. It's like I'm not saying that I'm that I'm calling up the dead and the dead are doing what I want. It's like if they don't do that in life. It's like the Christians. They think that Jesus and the saints are going to do stuff for them that they would have never done when they were alive, but somehow they're dead and now they've all of a sudden got the power to do it.
Yeah.
No, I'm not one of these necromancers that believes that sort of thing. But one of the things that I think happens that both the dead people themselves per se and entities that follow them around, maybe when they're dead hang out or whatnot, but people in particular, people who come to the graveyards, their relatives and stuff may bring and leave with entities that are there, or some entities may say, hey, less people around. I don't like these human beings, and a graveyard is one of the places where there's less activity of these human beings.
Yeah.
And so one of the things I notice is it's like some of these, sometimes the entities are, sometimes it's like there's a presence in the ground. And when you go through it, when you go over it, you feel it. It's like 3 feet down, in the following shape. I feel something, and this are you walking across something? It's like it's not touching the ground, and it's above the ground. It's like there's stuff that hangs out there.
I'm very aware of those things,
and I don't think it's just all ley lines or something.
No, exactly. No, me neither. I think your intuition on those points. We should trust, we can feel those things. I really do. If we're really aware and we trust our instincts, we can be guided.
And what you said, what you said earlier,
it's very correct.
I totally agree with it. It's like one of the points that I make, because just like when I talk about, I thought I was going to be able to rapid fire bring up the graphics, but not really then. So one of the things I talk about when I did the Zoroastrian, what they call Zoroastrian material, that I make clear is that one of the things that the priest got wrong, just as some of the with the later Jews, is they made things. They even obligations, they made it into something that the people couldn't follow.
Really?
It's like if you look at what the Muslims do, what they do is they have a series, a series of short rituals that everybody, maybe not for a month or two or whatnot, can they do it on their own, but everybody can do that stuff. If they try it. I guess some people are, can't pick up a few minutes of material here and there, but almost everybody can. But the Zoroastrians made things into this huge ritual structure that you can't follow. When I do these rituals, whether I'm composing a grimoire or whatever the thing is, it's like I'm manifesting. What?
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm manifesting my studies, but honestly, a lot of what I do is just contemplative readings, like what we started with. I could literally spend a minute or two a day. It wouldn't be any problem to me to pick a time of day and spend a minute or two a day picking a page, picking a page and doing a reverse Torah ritual like that, and maybe I'd spend some more time looking up. It's like, okay, since I didn't say the same words and I said stuff backwards, what did I really say? And I guess you could do I guess one could do a reverse, what they call, I don't remember what the what. I'm sorry. You said keeping it simple. So maybe give an example.
Mhm.
I'm gonna look up something here and see if see how much
Okay.
time that might take.
I'm just gonna take a little. I'm just gonna pee. I'll be back. I'm just gonna pee and drink some Coca-Cola. Yeah, you can talk at any time. Sorry for the sidetrack.
So I was asking an example of you said simple. So the blue light is like in other other groups where you visualize a blue light and either just chant a name or just dedicate that to.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Go ahead.
So is that the type of blue light thing you're talking about, or?
Yeah. I mean, blue light. That's what we do every time after we're told to clean the energy of ourselves and the house with blue fire, because blue fire is Satan's color. It's Father Enki's color. So we use blue light to sort of clean our chakras. Like I use every time after RTR, I clean my crown, my third eye, my heart chakra, my solar plexus chakra, the sacral chakra, and the base chakra. So those are being cleaned by blue royal light, because true royalty is pagan. Even in the book, the Protocol of Zion, they talk about the royals. Like the reason that we pagans have been led astray because we don't have a shepherd that leads us on the right way. Our shepherd used to be the king, the royal, but the greatest royal of them all is, the Jews say, okay, the Jewish God is supposed to appoint kings. That's a stolen concept, because the real kings, the real royals, and those who actually behave like royals, I mean, Jewish royals, they don't behave like royals, but pagan royals, the royalty is a pagan thing, and that's why they say blue blood, because blue is the color it's a royal color, it's the color of Enki. So that's kind of how I see it. So that's why.
Well, you definitely saw, for example, you saw this idea that's now there was two ways that this went about. Is either there was spiritual principles that society, rather than vicariously looking up to the priesthood or some savior who died from them, for them, they in general, well, Mithraism, it was a type, that type of religion existed before Christianity, but Christianity really made it in its ascendancy. But instead of the Mithric sort of faith or the vicarious sort of, we got this priesthood sort of thing, one of the things that happened is that the people chose their, so in one way, their leader was a spiritual figure in terms of the people chose their leaders on spiritual principles, are these entities that were considered to be gods and goddesses, these shayateen min al jinn, as the Arabic speaking people would say, they basically chose the leaders of society. Either they called their own prophets. The monotheist God doesn't call quite so many prophets, but so these other entities would call their own prophets with their own things, just like in the Yazidi thing, is that out of those who choose to develop and merge to become one with the fire beings, some of those will be called and given their own book. And that's one of the things that happens. That's why if we look in the Yazidi material, the Sheikh of Him Adi and stuff like this, it's not per se that Adi's is that this Sheikh is no. Just like other magical formulas, he's taking the place of the thing. So you put your own self in that position. You are of the company. You are of you are the auto-deism thing. That's what's going on there.
I mean, it's the same with democracy. Like, we appoint people based on, the media. There's always three stages to voting a president in a Jewish way. First, you program people, you use the media, and then people are prompted to.
Look at how people's been programmed here. My country has never been a democracy.
No, but I mean, there's
it's an aristocracy where they give people some vote. It's called a republic. It's called a republic, and Iran's actually a more free country than America, but they program us both sides, and they say, no, it's not. And even though they have more freedom of religion and less taxes, except for what the West imposes upon them, what happens is that, so we think it's a democracy and it's not, instead of whatever, but people in my country, they vote according to their beliefs. People pretend like like the people in office, like the people voting, they're not acting according to their beliefs. They're setting religion or whatever on the side. No, they're not.
Yep.
They're pretending.
That's the Jewish model for you.
They're pretending, or they're convinced that they're not, but they really are.
Because I mean, the pagan. I mean, if we look at Rome, that's where democracy really started. Pagan Rome.
SPQRF.
Yeah. So I mean, what did you say? Sorry.
SPQR.
What's that?
The Senate, the populace, you know, and the Republic, basically.
Hey, yeah, maybe that's what I meant. Yeah, I mean, it was a real deal, and the Jews, they take something real and they corrupt it. So there's like the democracy. People believe that democracy that can never work, or I mean, it's just a false dictatorship or whatever. But I mean, the real democracy actually does work like a democracy. But
whatever the system of government, it's actually what principles that the whole thing's being run with. You can have what you call a dictator that isn't a jerk that's trying to. It's like, look at what happened.
Exactly.
The Mongols, for example, they said the Mongols received Genghis Khan and his children and their grandchildren received emissaries from Christians, and by and large they said the response was, wait a second, you say that you know the will of heaven, and not us, but you guys can't agree on what that is and are fighting amongst yourselves. We've been united by our by our Yasa and stuff like this, and when our soothsayers have something to say, we are guided, and it brings us peace and well-being in society. Your priests say stuff and you can't get things. So they basically, we know the will of heaven, not you. Forget you. We'll let Mr. Priest, we'll let you live, and just message back, and probably get away from us when we come to town. But
I mean, especially the soothsayer, that's an important part of this. I mean, because the gods always know better than us. And if we live according to nature, we always guide it from above, and the democratic process will always work.
Well, we have, as opposed to this separation from your nature, you get circumcised and all this other stuff. When you go the different path, even if you believe in a revealed or inspired text from some entity, what else do you have? You have the book of nature and the book of yourself. You're not denying these. You can refer to the things to yourself. If it's going to be a book that's divinely inspired, whatever that means, it's got to agree with nature, doesn't it? Not necessarily what people feel, decide willy-nilly decide on their impulse, like some new ager that just lets their thoughts and feelings go and says it's God. Well, I mean, the new ager thing comes from the Baptist and the charismatic Pentecostal people. The New Agers branched off of that. They really did.
The branch of what? Out of what? Or
they really branched off the off the Baptist and the Pentecostal charismatic people. Because they want to engineer their experience. They want to, but they want to step away from the very religion that sort of came from. So they're kind of mixing in. Let's have our own new interpretation, like some Kabbalist who realizes that maybe it's better not to be so literal with my interpretation of our scripture or something. Because they know, they either know that the text has been changed because they figured that out in one way or another, either historically or whatever, or they think that it should be changed, and then they come up with these games. And that's what Paul did in finding Christianity, is with the you know, and when you open up the Bible and you see what it says, that everything's a shadow. It's like, oh, wait, so it's some sort of game, and I know the code.
Wow. Yeah.
But so speaking of contradictions, I guess another reverse thing before we can talk privately after this for a few minutes, I guess.
Yeah.
So we have two versions. What they call the Lord's Prayer, Matthew 6:9 through 13, and Luke 11:2 through 4.
Oh, we have one of that too, and the Joy of Satan.
So do you guys? So I don't remember which is which. Do you guys take the word order and recite it backwards, or what do you do?
We actually, I mean, there are different occult orders that do that, I think, if I'm not mistaken. For example, there's one which is reverse, right? Where they just reverse the whole thing. Yeah. That's not quite what we do, but we change the wording to, for example, we put in the real God, like, how do you explain? Let's remember, it was a long time ago I did it. But it's like, okay, let your kingdom come. We basically say it the same way, but we just change the wording a little bit, like make it more pagan, so to speak.
So one of the things that you find in the Aramea version, which I'm not doing here, which again, like the Gospel of John, it's actually from 4 centuries earlier.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it may be even earlier among the Dead Sea Scrolls, where they had our provider who is in heaven, that sort of thing. But anyways, backwards, which I really have no idea. Let's try. You want to close with?
Shall you do it, or? Yeah, sure. That's a good.
Okay.
Yeah,
I have the Greek here, so we're going to leave off the part of the verse that says, when you pray, say this. We're just going to say the other part.
Yeah, sounds great.
Apo samha iasur Allah nam sariyat siya samh sahkanganasiya hammi nimah Nariafo Inap Namaifa Idarua Ragiak Nomah Said Rama Sat Nimh Sephaton Sag Sat Ipe Iak Ps Narwa Ne Su As Amhal Et To Ot Hat Han Egg Loss A E L East Ab Ha Ot F L U As Am On A Ot Ot Hat Sa Ig A C On R A Siat Nya O Nyomah Retap. And so that's that. And I don't really have my Greek dictionary out, so that's not going to I don't know what I'm going to translate out of that, but I'm not used to either reading either of those backwards, but I thought I'd give it a try.
Yeah, I mean, that was again, you sound like you know what you're doing. I mean, you're schooled in, it's not any pretension in your knowledge. I can say that. I mean, you have acquired your knowledge the hard way, the ancient way, and I mean that's why I love your channel, and Nargoggle as well. He's the same, you know. You and Nargoggle. If I ever, you know, interest myself in alternative occult resources, you and Nargoggle is the way to go, because it is ancient. It is not any pretentiousness in your knowledge, and you have acquired this the way it should be acquired, and that's what you can hear. You know what you're doing, brother. That's, I mean, I'm humble.
Well, whether armchair archaeology or armchair occultistry or whatever, it's once meant to put your spirituality in practice. You hear these people, it's like, I've been writing spiritual books for years, but I won't even try to meditate yet, or I won't try it. It's like, are you kidding me? You won't try it. You won't even pick up a book and read and do one of these rituals you're reading about with the book in your hand.
Yeah. I mean, you can see who's you know, the ones who acquire, those who are really interested in acquiring knowledge, they are usually the ones who are being directed to it. Those who are genuine in their search. And you and Nargoggle are the two most genuine occultists that I know of, compared to Quering, or to me, they're the armchairs, I must say. And they, and they do it for money, like juice, and, you know. So I very much prefer your way and Nargoggle's way in handling.
One of the things, it's like, no, you know, it's like people ask you to do. It's like, no, you know, I will be straight up. I do ritual on behalf of anybody who witnesses me, really. Not that I'm you know, not that I'm claiming to be like Jesus is vicariously doing things. It's like, no, I want, you know, I'm invoking for, you know, for the influence, and where I messed up, I don't want that to carry on. I'm throwing something like that in too. It's like, I don't want it passed on how I'm a screw up or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, you come from a genuine place. I can feel that, and you know, you can definitely see who's a genuine seeker of knowledge. Somebody who, because many Satanists are actually only in it for the wrong reasons. Either because it's a trend to be a Satanist, it's a trendy thing, and it's, you know, it's hype and cool and trendy. You know, emo Satanism. You know, that kind
of people who just like it because
it's pop,
metal music or something. And
yeah, exactly. You're definitely not one of that group. I can tell you that. You're definitely.
And these people, it's like one of the things that every other you know, the people associated with that one channel that you referred to, not the defunct Nargoggle channel, because he's willing to have gaps in his stuff. He's willing to not have homes and art.
Have I done that? Have I ever? Do you remember? Have I ever criticized Nargoggle sometimes, or?
I don't recall. So I'm saying, as opposed to that channel, Nargoggle Shad was willing to. Hey, if his poems or his art isn't as good, it's not. And if he's representing something, he's whatever. He's not pretending to have this. Now his musical pieces, which can. Have
you heard classical notes? I mean,
what
do you think about those? I mean, in the one hand, he's like, okay, I'm a reptile alien, and then suddenly he does like classical music. It's very difficult to put him in one place, if you know what I mean.
Well,
it's very
well, there's reasons why he. So many people, they're like, if the story does, if you think, you know, the one channel,
Yeah.
People have admitted, it's like book after book coming from that company says stuff along the lines that they changed this, you changed the story because you thought we wouldn't believe it, so you lying to us is going to make your
I don't think Nagago does that. I think
no, I'm saying no, not Nagago Schlad, but this other channel. Every author, it's like, it seems like what every author that comes through that channel either gets busted for fraud or actually ends up putting in their book or something that they have. Now, I haven't been I haven't been spending much money with that company or something. I've interviewed E.A. Quetting, but in some of his books that have made their way through the internet platforms or whatnot, I've seen that he said, and he admitted on some of his interviews that he's changed details. It's like
exactly
a real grimoire, like you've seen my whiteboard. It's like literally my whiteboards.
It's your grimoire.
It's like every one of these seasonals, I'm literally writing a new thing, and it's like it's grimoires or method manuals. So I'm listing out the verses and symbols and all sorts of stuff, and I'm working it into some functionable thing.
Exactly.
It's not some alternative occult book where you need some big flowery story. It's not. It'd be nice to have that.
You can see that. You can definitely see that in your work and Nagago's too. Like, because nothing is made up.
We're supposed to be doing.
I really think so.
It's like we're supposed
to.
We're mixing in the rest. Exactly. We're mixing the rest. We're mixing in the rest of our life. We're trying to explain and understand what we've got. It's
and you do understand it too. That's the whole the interesting part, because even if you look at Nagago's videos, you can really see that he doesn't add or he doesn't, there's no pretentiousness in it. It's like everything is based on the book. Everything is based on research, honest, genuine research.
Okay, let's close real quick. And okay, so
I think it's getting very late now. So they're gonna
here with Lzwvmmh Zu Puff Wa Zens, as in Lzwvmmh is his name there, and and any closing statements.
I must say that I am very grateful for Nagago Schlad and Jaifar SBNF here for bringing me a lot of knowledge, occult knowledge, which has zero pretentiousness in it and is built on real genuine search for truth. And I really recommend that you continue watching their channels. Everything can be verified through research, and everything is genuine and nothing is pretentious. So thank you for that one. I really appreciate it. And you really put to shame all the Jewish armchair Satanists out there like E.A. Quetting and those guys. They are no authority on the occult in my eyes. You two are the two people that I think know most of all when it comes to the occult secrets.
Well, if we're not going to trust St. Paul, which admits that he lied to people to try to get him into his faith, why should we do it with anybody else?
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. Yeah. So if there's any alternative occult resources, if I find that the Joy of Satan is not complete for me, or if there's anything I want to learn more about, for example, learn more about Melech Taos or any other things, or goetic demons, there's always more to know, then I will definitely, or if I want to know more about Lovecraft, things that are relevant to my own tradition, to my own beliefs, then definitely I am going to keep searching for the pure material, the pure researchers in the occult, which I deem, I have a lot of respect for Nagagal and Jafar here. So
and you know, as you well know, it's like I respond to a heck of a lot of stuff. I don't believe everything in every book I. It's like if you listen to what.
Yeah, you should. You're
like I'm not afraid to pick up to do a scholastic presentation where I spend where I argue with a lot of the stuff in the book. I pretty much do that with every book.
It's not Nagago. You know, I usually say the people who are sure about themselves and know where they stand, they have nothing, they don't fear going into any topic.
Yeah. Well, aside from that wobbly alien head, I am. Aside from that video, what was Nergargle's most viewed videos were stuff like "Would I kill a baby for Satan?" and and
I mean,
which basically is no, you don't have to step on this side of the fence and do some crazy murderous stuff, but it's there.
Never take Nagago literally, because he always has a point with what he's doing. And if you don't understand Nagago, it's not his problem, it's your problem. That's what I say, because he always knows what he's doing. I mean,
people take one phrase or something out of it's like, for example, it's like you certainly didn't make you know, as you know, I'm not supporting judging people merely on some nationality or race or something like that. It's what you really it's what a person's choosing to be. It's like people call this religion or that religion it's like it's a lie or it's pagan just because it's not my that sort of thing. It's like no. I don't agree with that stuff at all. It's like. So turning away from the real lie, not just what's labeled as a lie for being different, but the real the real ignorance delusion people have. Which
actually, like I said, real racism is not mindless. There's a difference between Jewish mindless racism, Black Lives Matter, and all these artificial divisions that they create to distract us from our real enemy. Real racism.
Because I gotta hear, it's like I'm kept because of this coronavirus thing. I'm kept away from stuff that that I would be doing every week, or people I'd be interacting with better and that sort of thing, because of it. And I have to hear every single day how because of what white people did somewhere, that somehow. And somehow blacks can't behave themselves either, but they're not at fault. It's all the white man's fault. And how dare you even have a semblance of anything but anybody? It's like repaying people. It's like, I'm poor too. What in the world are you talking about? In my country, the lower class is white too. I mean, the middle class is mostly mostly disappeared 10 years ago. But do people point that out? It's like no. It's like but yeah, it's you certainly did. It's like it didn't quite come off how people would expect. It's because the way people speak about
it never does in the occult come out as people expect, and that's why we have people like Nagago and Jafar, because the occult is magical and it does never. It never comes as you expect it to, and that's not how it's supposed to come up.
and just like the Bible, you could skip over the chapters that if you don't like if you don't like the area that I'm in that month, you can just look up and see more of what you did like in the first place, or wait another couple. But you know how people speak about the joy of Satan. It's like you guys are Alex Jones that doesn't support Israel.
It's like any criticism against JOS is a hive mind. It all sounds the same. Maxine Dietrich, she's actually Harrington, and it's like even there you can see a hive mind going on. Like they have nothing to say. They have no real criticism. So it just becomes a meme kind of group think towards
I did get a comment on the channel, but it's probably, it may have been because I, for example, maybe I commented on something that VK Jehanam was saying and it got mixed up in the thing or something, but it's like, I don't think that, you know, I don't, or Michael Ford or something. It's like, I don't, or I don't accept stuff just because either of those said something.
No,
but I don't, I also don't, you know, it's like VK Jehanam, and you know what he does with his drawings.
Yeah, I know.
It's like I don't feel like I have to go around cutting myself and jerking off on things to be a powerful magician. That's just not my path.
Yeah, exactly. He's getting those pictures out of his ass, and he probably gets a lot of money from that. I mean, the dude gets paid for it. It's like it's all charlatan in my eyes.
I think no, he I don't know quite as much, but I do think he was doing that stuff. He was doing that stuff for free on the side and decided he could make some money with it. So I'm not sure as much with him as others. Some people said, what's his name, read in a magazine or something that he could make money as a sorcerer, and that became a goal as his life or something. And he was back and forth between an LDS and an unofficial LDS, you know, Mormon orders. And he decided that, no, you know, so when he was late in his teens or early 20s or something, he decided finally to abandon the LDS thing, but he reconsidered it. If he was really, you know, gung-ho in it, you kind
What's the LDS, by the way? Or
the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and I will say more about them on my channel. But now I'm not saying my mother's actually nice to me, so you know, I am not wishing any ill on her. May she live a long life. I'm you know, I don't mind talking to her. It's you know, doing my sonly duty, and that's that sort of stuff. If I was around, help it.
Right.
But the when she passes, I'll do more stuff about the LDS. Let's just say that.
Okay.
Because I obviously now scrying, I'm good at scrying and all that stuff, but I don't, you know, I don't, you know, accept the authority of any particular Christian church, and I know a lot about that church, being raised in it, in the Church of Jesus Christ. So good and bad, I have a lot to say, and but I don't want to per se turn my remaining family that's talking to me against me for when I can just when they're old and they can it's not going to be too long anyway, so I can just wait for that, you know.
Okay. Yeah.